wins every single
I guess,
day.
Yeah, I think the long was what was on.
Yeah, when it's like that hold till 2 o'clock is like the linchpin, I think, for that pull, because there was a decent enough bounce at noon that couldn't quite get to VWAP. So look, obviously a lot has happened today. It hasn't been good for the overall market. NASDAQ 1.3, 1.33 to the downside. ES maybe half of that or a little bit more than half of that to the downside. So faring a little bit better. But tech has been, in a general sense, wrecked. That DATS stock is, I got eyeballs on DATS. DATS is on the move here. It has been precipitously pretty much the entire day. It has been your low flow type runner. Bitcoin at 97,000 and working its way to the downside as well. So it's been a rough day for BTC. It's been a rough day for big cap tech. Probably led a lot by Nvidia, which, while it's gotten off the lows, down 4 2/3% here, and not much of a bid. It's tried to get to VWAP. It hasn't done much of a job. I'm actually in, well, we'll take a position or take a fill. I'm in only Mara and Intel at this particular point to the south side. But that's certainly going to be on the radar. The small cappers might be good this afternoon in the bleeding market.
Yeah, that's what's up. All right, we've got $3. We just had $3. That Meta just fell off, so we took some money out of that one. We were initially short in front of that 621, and then we just went long, dip buy into VWAP. Good trade there. That was $3. Like, so that was pretty decent opportunity there for us. So we like that Meta trade coming back in one more time. So long Meta right now, 19. I'll take something out at 30. What I was noticing with Meta is, and this is why I was realizing that I hadn't traded this in a while, the spread is like 40 cents, and that's like when it's calm. So, yeah, you can't, like, I cannot trade this. Like when I was short right here, you have to get out when you're wrong, especially if you're going to go short at a key level, because you never know when that level is going to snack, crackle, and pop, and then you pay that spread. So I'm using different stop orders on this right now, and trying to, there you go. Yes, that was a good one, man. Just got some out there on it. See, like, look, there's a Memex there. Is that a stuck quote or what? I don't know. But look at the awesome spread right now, 50 cents. Right now, and that's a legit spread. So as we switch over to AMD, you'll see the spread here, 2 cents. We are now short on the AMD short, come on. You know, that's been a great stock to short up there at 130. So we're in right now $4 or about 250 now, in the 350, sorry, in the money on these two positions. So far so good here. I don't know if we're doing the rundown today. Are we doing the rundown? Or
Joe seems like he's getting ready. We'll just.
Okay, yeah, okay, so we are doing it. All right, good. So, yeah, right now, 250 the money on Meta off that little bottom there. I like the stock. Let's see if it can continue to work a little bit higher. We said there's some squeeze opportunities. Let's give it that shot as well. And then right there now, again, a little bit of money bag yo on this one as the Dollar Club hits for AMD. So far, so good right now there today, but, you know, it is what it is.
That was weird. I swear I just heard a phone alarm that was identical to my wife's going off, which is sometimes wakes me up. Oh, it was the Fabian's that was going off.
Fabian and your wife has the same.
Oh, it's like I think it's a default on the Android.
Yeah, whatever. You know,
it's one of those, if you ever get woken up by something, and it's a very rare circumstance because I wake up the first, so it's almost never that my wife's alarm would wake me up. It's when usually a U.S. holiday and I get to sleep in. And then I hear that one. It always, not weirds me out, but it always catches my attention. So look, DATS, here, I'll quickly show what we're in because Bitcoin's down. Mara got to VWAP. I didn't catch a VWAP short, but it broke through what was a bit of a wall here at 19.5 into 1930. And now it's got a working trend line in here that is trying to break back above this 19.5. So I'm shorting it back into 19.5. As far as I can tell, you know, when you look at what's going on in IBIT, obviously we can talk about Bitcoin. You're in a consolidation off the lows. So if we break lower, I want to stay short. If we break above this consolidation, I want to be able to jump out. Intel's just from earlier. I had this one off of a mean reversion top. Now I want to look to see if we can get something in and around VWAP on Intel. Oddly enough, up on the day, which is deceiving. Because when everything was up, Intel dropped a ton yesterday, so that's probably the reason why it didn't drop any further. But we're short this one from earlier on in the session. I do believe Joe is ready. Let's get this rundown started. See what names you guys were interested in. I got a pretty good bet Nvidia is going to be on the top of that list.
Hey, and a winning bet that is, Neil. Nvidia at the top of the list, guys. Welcome to the Afternoon Rundown, the show where you guys pick the tickers that we talk about, all right? So on the top of the docket here, guys, we know that it's a relatively weak one. Nvidia down over 4% on the session, digesting that CES announcement and as the S&P slides, guys. So it's a really weak one. Nvidia dragging the overall market down with it. Let's see what the big boys think about Jensen.
Well, I like Jensen.
See how we think about it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I like Jensen, but it didn't really matter in today. Because ultimately, you know, Nvidia failed an all-time high.
Yeah.
It is what it is. And I think when we look at these bull runs, which, hey, let's go look at the daily chart, because that was a bull run for the last couple of weeks into an all-time high on Nvidia. Stair step, higher lows, you hold a 50 period, you broke right out into the high. There was even a dip back into 150 that allowed you to play off of, and we're saying, I said all this stuff in the morning, but that dip allowed you to play off of what was the prior high going into that breakout play. So I was looking for the continuation long. We've seen it test pre-market lows before going. Heck, yesterday it did the same thing. It tested a pre-market support level and then broke out the top. The day before that, it tested it earlier in the pre-market. If you look at it the day before that, it actually broke the pre-market low and went into the prior day low and then rallied. So, you know, 3 days in a row, 2 out of 3, I'd say it was an easy dip and rip, although you had breakout trades going as well. But today it wasn't a dip and rip. But today was a dip and dip and dip, and then dip some more. That said, try to stay as disciplined as possible with it. Trading it only at the levels that made sense, but it didn't really matter. At the end of the day, it was just a bleed. So I took my shots at each of the support levels, did some scalping out to sort of limit the loss because we're able to get some of the bounces, but ultimately, every single one, you can see it just trended down here on NVDA. So we'll end up red on Nvidia. Thankfully, you know, the last couple of days have been pretty good on it. Overall, I think you got to keep in mind, you know, this is, in the grand scheme of things, I can't really, there you go. In the grand scheme of things, we just broke away from resistance at the 50-period moving average. So if all of a sudden we just start basing out the 50-period, this is a healthy pullback into that 50, which did hold this morning. We never broke 140 bucks, even though it's more like 139.75. But we've held that 50-period on the daily. So as long as it can do that, let it settle down. Maybe we get a double bottom play tomorrow. You know, Nvidia has had pullbacks like this before, and to be honest, this isn't even that bad, 5% in the grand scheme of things.
No, I think you want to get long Nvidia at some point. And as Neil mentioned, man, I mean, all three of us will be, you know, red on this name, and it's going to be, I think, the worst stock probably for all of us. But Nvidia, yeah, it's too bad because when you fail those tops, this is what happens. You know, we had that all-time high in the pre-market actually, and then it just hasn't gotten going at all since then. We kept on trying, and then eventually gave it up there at 144. You know, we wrote down here 149, so we could have stopped in and around there. We're, you know, like Neil, we're making some back. All like these greens, like the reds are higher. It's just it kept on breaking. So the thing is like at the end of the day, you're holding too many shares. Every time it breaks, you get stopped out. So yeah, at the end of the day, red, negative Nancy Day for Nvidia, but we get our revenge on AMD. So as I said, man, you're not going to see all three of us red on a stock and be like, you know, that's not going to be the worst stock. I mean, that is the worst stock of the day. But by far, the best stock of the day is AMD, and we just went the other way. I'm only going to talk about it because right now we just did Nvidia. There it is. There's the short. There's the reload short again. So it's like short, and boom. And we actually went to the gym and we had a 129.25 offer right there that somehow missed. Must have came right to us and turned around. But there it goes right there down to the downside as well. So we should actually have 3 nice trades into here, but it was one early there at 10:30, one at 1:30. We lost more on Nvidia than we did on AMD, but at the end of the day, making some back right there on advanced micro devices. So at least we were able to, you know, make a little bit back there and not be so, you know, sort of caught with like a deer in headlights. We're able to regroup, go over to AMD and put that number 1 on the board. So I feel pretty good about it, but we just lost the way there on Nvidia. And would I do anything differently on this? No. So, you know, every level came in, I was trying them. It just never got going. So, hey, man, sometimes you don't hate the game, you hate the player, and today I just hate the game. It just kept on coming to the downside there, and we kept on getting out. The hit could be 10 times worse, but it's not. So good risk management, I feel like there. It's Nvidia. We'll live to see another day.
Stuff there, boys. No doubt about a tough one in the market. It's a tough game to play today. There's no questioning that, folks. But let's talk about one of the hottest stocks over the past month in the market. That's RGTI, Rigetti Computing Inc. All right, these guys are up over 1,800% in the past 6 months, with a lot of those gains coming in the past month as well, too. Just a little shy off those all-time highs, taking a little bit of a breath from a daily perspective. Let's see what the boys think about RGTI.
That's
I didn't really look.
It's a fun number to say, 1,800%, but you know that's what happens when a penny stock goes ham.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's easy to forget when the further away you get from this on Rigetti, it's easy to forget that this was a penny stock. Just late last year. But when the volume started, it wasn't. I get it. It was already at like $2. But, you know, it's been giving it up a little bit. But the good sign, I don't necessarily think it's out of the woods yet. Let's get that out of the way. Because I still, like, you got a head and shoulders going on. I know it's trying to get back above VWAP. But you had a failed break of the high yesterday through 20. Resistance. I'm not going to drop it. You guys can see shoulder, head, shoulder, and then heading back down. So it's at a key point here at this 19 area, but it is relatively strong this afternoon as Randy looks on in the nice little beanie there. So this afternoon it looks good breaking through VWAP, but watch out for that 20. That would be the shoulder part of a head and shoulder pattern. Yeah, I like this one off of VWAP. It looks pretty strong in days where the market is weak. Sometimes you want to look for the afternoon rallies in smaller caps, sometimes tech names, or these lower float runners, although DATS has been a powerhouse. Relatively speaking, like you don't have to worry about bottom picking on DATS.
Yeah,
that one's been, that's just been a different one.
Yeah, that one's on one for sure. Look, we just had $4, so let's go 1, 2, 3, 4. We took it out too on Meta. So there's the 619. Hey, what's up, Randy? 619.25 there, low bid, boom, out right there. Some 623s. We have about a quarter left, maybe 20% left of this position. I like it. We'll see if we can do anything with that one right there. And as far as Rigetti is concerned, I mean, we talked about some of the quantum names. Neil just touched on it. I still think Google up here at 200. We talked about Nvidia being the next one, and it immediately went to the top and broke the top, and then before fading out $10. But at the end of the day, good little name here. I feel like anyways with Google, looks like it wants to be that next one as well. And it got pretty close to there today. 201 and change, 200. Look, man, I'm hella long this stock, hella long Nvidia as well. So with all these things at the top, getting a little bit top heavy and nervous here. But I said that earlier today. The market's now down 1.35. When the market was pretty flat off the open, I was like, yeah, it might be time to sell some of these names. But again, what are you going to do? Get into the NASDAQ? That's still down 1 and a bit percentage points. So Google holding up pretty good. We just got Meta back. That's still $3 in the money. AMD's $1 short. We're doing fine, but it's been a little bit of a up and down day. It's more Nvidia that got everybody shook early. Oh, Google's the next stock. Okay, so let's go back over there when we'll swing back and quickly do some Google work.
Yeah, good stuff there, Sean. We're going to talk about some Google today. I mean, you mentioned that it's holding up fairly well. There's no questioning that. Only down about 0.2% here on the session. Not far off of those all-time highs here, though, folks. I'm really curious to see what the boys have to think about Google as well, too.
So, I mean, I just sort of jumped the gun there. I was only thinking about it because of quantum. Look, I think Google is a great quantum name. I mean, I don't think we need to. It's not rocket science, right? I mean, they're going to be the leader, but all these other names are going to get a little bit of a bigger bump, obviously, like a Rigetti, like we don't have the QTUM ETF, so I'll call it up over here for you as well. But I thought that, dip buy opportunities in this ETF, as the number one holding is Rigetti, then the number two holding is D-Wave, and they have MSTR in it, which is a little bit strange, but there's a dip down into $80. So we're going to watch out for this. I think, down into 70s will be a little better. We always like ETFs and things like that down near 50-period moving averages, QTUM. And I don't know how much Google that has in it, but we trade Google on this show. So if you're wondering, like, why is it Google? Google, not Goog. Just more shares and a little bit better opportunity. We are still underneath right here. So this is the 200 period moving average. It hasn't been much, but we're just kind of hovering around right now. I would think it is right now because the market's down. We're underneath VWAP. We're underneath the 50 period moving average. You could see, man, we're $1 and change on the money on AMD short. I'm thinking, you know, 197 is not where I want to short Google, but that's the short that I could see in and around 197. You got VWAP up top, so 197.60 if it does get bumped up into that area. So I would sort of say play off of that, 197, 196, something in and around that area. So those are my plays there for Google. Just shorting 196, 197, but relatively strong.
Yeah.
So I just don't know if I like the longs right now in the day. That's all.
It's tough to like the longs at this particular moment. The only thing I want to add is you got a crazy double top on that at the 200 level on the daily for Google. Yeah. But check it out, everybody, because Hive Digital Technologies, which on the NASDAQ is HIVE, pretty simple to remember, is pioneering the digital transformation through sustainable AI solutions and Bitcoin mining, a global leader in cutting-edge data center operations with over 2,700 Bitcoin on their balance sheet.
Kaboom.
Hive consistently tops the industry in Bitcoin mined per exahash and is redefining the future by powering the world's most transformative technologies with efficient, green, and clean energy. Learn more by following them at Hive Digital Tech or at hivedigitaltech.com and sign up for the Hive newsletter for updates. Shout out to them. And appreciate our guest here. We had a little bit earlier on with Brendan. Fantastic interview. So, yeah, I mean, all I was, like Sean said, I think we're in a market where you want to have some shopping ideas, which means, you know, when things dip, which inevitably I think we're going to have a high volatility year, you want to be ready and locked and loaded. So I don't necessarily love like that double top. It's got a trend line on it. If it breaks the trend, you got 180. I'm more impartial to the 200 period moving average in this particular case because that's what's been respected the most on Alphabet. So, you know, I'm halfway. You don't want stocks to go down. I understand you never really want that of a holding of yours, but ultimately this is one that I'd want. Like I look at Meta that just failed an all-time high, and it's like that's one of the recent buys I had. I didn't sell anything up at that triple top, but this is one that I haven't added in a bit. And I would like to get the 200 period moving average. Let's go on over to, Sharif always calls it the dead one. I guess today that fits for Apple.
Living up to its name today, Neil, no questioning that, guys. Apple shares are trading lower after MoffettNathanson downgrades the stock from neutral to sell and lowered its price target from 202 to 188. I mean, a lot of us here are waiting for that full release of Apple Intelligence. Dan Ives from Wedbush says this is an Apple supercycle with the iPhone 16. We're looking for that to take place within the price itself. We do know that we have record inflows coming into ETFs in the overall market as well too, folks. So that is going to affect the price of Apple. Trading higher now, pulling back off of those all-time highs. Let's see what the big desk thinks about AAPL.
I mean,
we're the big desk. This desk is actually smaller than that.
Yeah, no, I think they're the same. The desk of the
no. I mean, no, the big desk.
Oh, that one. Yeah. That's a big.
That's the big desk.
Look, I'm just going to disagree. Apple's not the dead one at all today. I mean, it's actually better than the market. If anything, I thought, and honestly, like I thought Apple was going to get killed today, you know, with the downgrade and with some of this negative talk. So we were shorting Apple. We got out of the way, as I said, just positive on it, barely. It does hit that 245, which is a surprise. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I wrote down 244 short. The fact that it got going early was amazing. And then there's the 244 breakdown. It hasn't seen anything since that. So we should have re-engaged it at that level. But I would say, yeah, not dead. I feel like it woke up, man. It got going there real early. And you know, we talk about where it's at right now. I would say for the last couple days, it's definitely pulled back. I mean, much more aggressive. We just showed you Google that's at highs. We just showed you Meta that's at highs. Amazon in and around those levels as well. Nvidia, sans 5 hours ago, was at highs, but Apple definitely the move down. So yeah, not performing well over the last little while. I'd say far from dead though. I mean, I love stocks down there at the 50-period moving average. So today, performing a little better than the market. Honestly, with the catalysts there, I thought it was going to be a lot worse than this. So I feel like it's a sigh of relief for everybody holding on to some AAPL right now. So yeah, Just a little bit of talk there about Apple. We'll see if it can hold the way. A positive stock for me today, but barely.
It went right to where you'd want it to bounce, and it bounced, 241.5. Ideally, the 50 period could have come into play, and I think that would have been a much more appealing long. And the market looked like, I always have there's one saying that I really like. It's like, if you really like a level and it's upside or downside, if the market's really weak, let it get to that level. And I felt like that was 238 today on Apple. I was shorted a couple times, which the first time, no good. The second time, good. I ended up paying some fees on that stock, but I thought we'd get 238 on the weakness, or at least 238 change into that 50 period. I think that's a healthy pullback on Apple, and it seems like we have a decent shot if you get a flat bottom break sometime this week that you could retest that 50 period. It hasn't respected it that much, but there is a long trend on Apple that if you kind of go back, and this is like April lows, and you kind of connect it in here, this is going to correspond. Like that long trend from this bottom here in April of last year holds just underneath the 50 period moving average. You like the stock, then you like buying levels like those. And the good thing about Apple is, and there's nothing against Rigetti, it's just Rigetti's the first thing comes to mind because it's on that board. When you have a long upward trend in a stock like this, like if it loses that trend line and you're a buyer of Apple at 237, like I'm not freaking out if 2 weeks later it's at the 200 period moving average. I'm just buying some more. But if Rigetti does a similar thing and I buy some more, I might start freaking out because you know that stock company doesn't make any money. And it's a very different story, dollar cost averaging in your long term in a Rigetti than it is in Apple. I do so very gladly in Apple because I still have a long way to go before I need that retirement money. Apple's going to be fine.
There you go, that retirement money. Maybe that can be found here, Neil, in Rich Tech Robotics. This thing has been popular in the chat as of late, trading significantly higher. We are a little red on the session here, folks, just down a little bit over 1% on the day. But found something interesting on Rich Tech Robotics is short flow percentage has risen to 28.6% since its last report. The company recently reported that 2.98 million shares are sold short. So this is really interesting here on Rich Tech Robotics. Maybe this can justify why we have been in this squeezy price action over the past month or so. Let's see what Neil and Sean think about RR.
That's a good look because remember, like when it comes to short flow, like every source is going to have a different sort of timeline as to when they update it. Because I still see some that show 6.5%, which it makes sense that it would have gone up, obviously, because, well, not necessarily obviously, but when a stock does this and it's had that history of, I guess getting leaned on because it pops and then it drops, well, it would make some sense that people are probably adding to short positions. That can fuel a squeeze. I just think that for now it's in the midst of a pullback. And it's done this a couple of times, right? So the first initial push, you got to start in December when this started breaking out. First initial push came in at $2, pull back into the 200 period. You're going to have to forget about the moving averages on this for a while, but not forget about prior highs because it did the same thing from about 370 into this 240, which was a prior high, and now the prior high is 380. Well, lo and behold, where did it hold this morning? Some action in the pre-market, but that's $3.80 that it held onto. Now the bad sign is it's right back here. So it held onto this 380 on a dip, but it's still pulling right back into it. You want to see it close green after bouncing off of that level. So I don't necessarily love this one today. As we look at DAT, that's my segue to DATs. DATs might be on the way to VWAP in here. So just keeping an eye on this low float runner. And DATs, another, that chat, 10% short float. I actually thought it might have been a little bit bigger than that, but the float on this is only 2.7 million. It's done 120 million. I shake my head because that's just insane. But yeah, this one could be pulling back into VWAP. I have my eyes on this because it's been the volume runner so far today. But I'm not a huge fan of that pullback on RR after it held 380 this morning. Usually you want to close green after holding a level like that.
Yeah, good look there. The thing about all of these stocks, whether or not it be that Hoth or XTIA. I was going to say, okay, wow. Oh man, tough look for this XTIA right here, right now.
Damn.
All right, so this was a name, and I didn't even know where this was. I was just talking about it here, like out of the blue, thinking, all right, let's go have a quick look here at this name. But yeah, at the end of the day, like, you know, some of the action that happens in the pre-market, you really have to take into consideration. We kept on touching out here at 25. I've canceled, obviously, the stop order that I had, but I did have one down there in and around those areas. Stop order to go higher through 25. We talked about that 25-1. We actually zoomed it back out and talked about it all the way back into here where we had 25 cents. I think it was back in September, sort of a very, very similar top. So yeah, it just failed off the top. You know, the more and more that I continue to look at some of these runners, the more we start to see like, okay, like you really got to break these pre-market levels. And if you don't do that, then yeah, there is the piper to pay. And I just feel like that's the problem here with XTIA. You just kept on going, not going. People stuck. We had that super chat earlier on today as well there that, you know, people were playing this with multiple thousands of shares. Obviously, it's done 2 billion shares today. So we'll go OMG.
Oh my God.
For that, because that's a lot of shares. But at the end of the day,
there was news midday on that.
There news midday? I mean,
that big down candle 11:45 in the middle.
Oh, right here. But why is there not enough volume on that?
It wasn't a huge volume. So basically,
still a good break, yeah.
Right at that 11:45 area, it just said they unveiled this ended up moving it down. They unveiled a 2025 growth strategy, which includes a 1 for 250 share consolidation to strengthen the balance sheet, enhance leadership, and blah, blah, and regain NASDAQ
1
compliance.
for 250.
So I think we have a general understanding of what happens. Fundamentally, splits and reverse splits don't change anything, but if a stock needs to go the reverse split mode to regain NASDAQ compliance, it's obviously not a good sign because it couldn't get back above a dollar on its own, and either it didn't get extension, it didn't get an extension to go back over a dollar, or it ran out of them, right? Because there's like a limit to how many extensions you can get. Not really sure why that never seems to apply to stocks like Mullen, but whatever. How come you can get a limited number of extensions to regain compliance over a dollar, but you can reverse split as many times as you want to get back over a dollar? I don't understand why Mullen can just continuously do the same thing over and over again, but they have other rules regarding NASDAQ compliance, which are a little bit more strict, but that's neither here nor there. So one quick look here. Intel right back to our entry price. It's got the same trend going back into the top. If it doesn't mean revert, then I'm gonna add back in. If it doesn't, then it breaks out the high, and I'm stopping out on Intel. So it has been a resistance level. Let me go to the 15-minute chart so you can see. Yesterday afternoon's high, it's like 1 o'clock. That high there where it dumped. When it got there earlier, I reverted. And if it does the same thing, closing underneath that trend line, I'll go for the short again. Day trader cut answers my question because Mullen is the best EV company in the world. Well, how am I supposed to argue with that?
Yeah, I mean, it's factual, right? So, yeah, about Mullen. Okay, so, I did not get filled. Oh, I did not get filled down there, did I? Okay, I thought, all right, where's my bids? We must have just been there. We were at 76. How low did that go? 71s. Okay, we must have put it a little bit late there. Okay, at the end of the day, we just touched down again downtown there on AMD, 128.75 or so. So, you know, again, part of the play, we should have been there. We should have been in this area. So now I'm a little littered in there. I have an 85, a 75. So if we do come back in, we want to get some more out here on AMD. We just failed at the 50, but to say we failed over there, like I'm not going to get like excited about any trading right now on AMD. The market is pretty slow. When it starts ramping like this is when I get excited, right? I mean, it's like 5, 10, 15 straight buy candles there to the upside right into 130, which is a level that we like for the short. So yeah, I mean, that's obviously where we're going to get excited, and we did. And it turned out to be a decent opportunity there. So good trade, needless to say there on AMD. We'll see if it can come back in. Our stop is rate. I was going to stop out at VWAP, but rate given this level, I think this is a little bit better. 129. 50 basically. Let me see where the stop order is on that. 130. All right, so let's change that. So 129.52. We'll stop out above that area right here. So that's VWAP, so we're gonna have to take that. Then we'll just give it a little bit higher. That's 45. If you're gonna be super, super conservative, that would be a good spot to sort of start with. So I would say watch out for that. Coming back in maybe for our friend AMD. If you're looking like short, I mean, I would short into that area and do the same trade again. Future's starting to push down a little bit, so we do take advantage naturally of that meta bump right there. We are just offering again 621.50. So a couple good outs. That's another $2. So we'll take it and be pretty happy with it. Hopefully it continues to work out for us. Right now it's meta holding on to the long, but just so everybody's aware, like we are maybe not 10%, a little bit more, like 15% maybe left. A lot of outs, so about like 7, 8 outs on the way up. So we, you know, with the market being down, we didn't want to hold meta too much. Meta with the market right now. So yeah, so far so good. Like the stock, like AMD. We'll see if we get a little bit more of a downside push. Let's bid something at 129 anyways. Get something out at 05 just because it's bouncing off the 50 period, it looks like.
Yeah, and bounce.
Maybe not.
Bouncing off that 50 period, I chuckle because the 50 period isn't a thing. There was a question about Palantir I'll get to in a quick second.
Oh, gosh.
GameStop's breaking out again. So I don't think anything too much different from yesterday at these levels. Like it's underwhelming volume, and I have not heard a story. We didn't hear a story yesterday either, but it decided to go. So I'm probably just going to go ahead and pay for locates in something adjacent or even GameStop itself to look for a reversion play. But there's a question about, like, is Palantir a buy at these levels? So a couple of, what's your time? You always have to think what the time frame is, because I think on the day trade, on the 15, this has been the zone that it's been bouncing from. I'll throw up a 30 minutes so you can actually see the longer, like how long it's been. It goes all the way back to the beginning of December. Like 70 to 71 has been a good turnaround zone. If there's one thing you want to note about every single one of these bounces in these levels, they all happen in the morning. So they're actually the only time, and still missing, we had a data issue on that Fed day, so some of the last 30 minutes, like, trust me when I tell you, there was more price action underneath here, and it closed at those lows. Every time you've had a big bounce off of this area, it's been in the morning and not in the afternoon. On Palantir, it gets down here, and that's a different story. It had one close down here, and that was the only time it was down in the afternoon. When you look at it on a higher time frame, like, it is so far removed from the 50 period moving average that if it loses support here, it wouldn't be unreasonable to retest 60. That was a bit of a dip level on the weekly. The last red candle underneath here held the 60 level, double bottom for a couple of weeks, and then underneath that obvious like 40 to 45 zone. So you have to ask yourself, like, what is your time frame? Are you holding something forever? When you're holding something forever, it's a much different story when you're DCing into it. Because all you need to believe in is believe in Palantir, and then that's absolutely fine. But if you're trading it, it doesn't look that great if 70 goes. You know, so that's the only 2 cents I would give on Palantir. And just very quickly back over to DATS. DATS is, yeah, it doesn't want VWAP. It just bounced off of the $5 level, retracing right back into the highs. So maybe you just got to take the next available dip. Like, it tried to trend back down, held the first even dollar it ran into, and keeps on going higher. My elbow is like, it's so weird. Like,
what's up?
No, I have like this thing. Every time I put my elbow down,
yeah,
it just hurts for some reason. Happened before. No, like right in here, like on the point of my elbow. Well, I'm not really throwing anything.
Point of your elbow.
Well, I was doing, this is
I think like Charlie horse or whatever.
Well, my daughter and I were doing like play sword fighting last night. And so I was messing around like left hand.
You better stop playing with your daughter, man. I mean, tore your Achilles. Now you're gonna have to have elbow surgery.
It was fun though, but like
exactly. That's why I asked him if it was his throwing elbow.
No, I was doing all like this stuff. Like look at me, left hand, right hand. Thinking she whooped my butt because she had a shield and I didn't, which obviously is not fair. But yeah, it's weird. Like all of a sudden it hurts. So yeah, that's. Like, you got to be kidding me. Like, I was just talking about it bouncing off 5. It just went from 530 to 580 in a single candle. So next time it pulls back, maybe we get a couple of red candles in here. Let's see if it just does this. Look for any kind of a rounded bottom or a consolidation and buy the next consolidation in DATS. So looking for the reversion on Intel. So there it is. It's trying to close underneath that. Actually, it did close underneath the trend line, but still holding sideways. Want to see it drop down underneath this level and then try to pick up the reversion trade. But that's his one running. If there's something else that's moving, let us know, because Dats Prescott, starving like in the chat.
That's Prescott.
No, it can't be Dats Prescott.
Here we go.
Because it's up 190%. So it needs to be, you got to find a good quarterback for this one.
Yeah, that's a little bit different. Join me and Brian Shannon tonight on the Market Recap Show. So if there's any questions you need me to ask him as well. He's talking about some of those anchors from pre-election or post-election day coming into play. So we'll double check that. It's been just a minute since we've dealt with Brian Shannon. So we'll say chicken dinner winner.
It's been a year.
Yeah, you're right. It's been about a year. Yeah. No, we haven't seen him this year, of course. But now we'll just continue to go. Obviously, as we continue to watch out for this market, I'm just going to cancel some orders because I want to make sure that we have the right feels. Now, there goes AMD. Let's go, man. That is what's up, Ozan? We just talked about how we like the short. There's 3 more outs all the way back down. Like I said, man, it's kind of like some Kendrick Lamar here. It's not like us. There's no one like us right now. We'll just continue to scalp it out. We'll wait to see if there's going to be more trades. But this is a very unique style. Like, we just come in the 200 period and starting to scalp it out. Like, I wish I had a little bit of a better feel on this. Like, I think we could break the lows. So I don't have any more bids. I have a bid at 128.55. Like, if we can come into there, then we'll do that. But since then, I think if this market could bleed, here into the close. So we still are. We'll deal with our, what? I mean, I could just punch something out. The problem with Meta, honestly, is the spreada. Like, we talked about that. That's 25%, 25 cents, on a spread. So it's fine if you're trading like.
They should split.
Yeah, like if you're trading like 5 shares or something, like fine. But if you're starting to up your share size a little bit here, like right into there, that is I talked about that yesterday or this morning. I was like, next one up to split will be Meta, because I still think that there's a lot of, upside, as we talked about in this market, still left. But for right now, the market's pulling. So nice downside move there for Meta. We do have a small piece left. I don't think we need to let this one get too far away from where we're at. Our initial stop was where this 200 period is, but now we're right here, right now. So what about just a straight break of 619? That will be very, very comfortable for us. So we'll cancel our Meta right now, and we'll just get out if it breaks 619 downside opportunity abound here for META. So let's just wait to see. I'm offering 620.25s. If we do get a little bit of a bump up, we'll take some pressure off there, take $1, and then we'll hold like about that 10%. But for right now, if it does continue to bleed, we're going to get out. We're going to get out at a 619 break. So we'll put that order in, and we'll just see the best we can do with it. But that's what I'm going to try to do right now with Meta, get a piece out. But we're still watching this bleed, right? So AMD right now, I still have a 128.50 target. So that's my next stop, and we'll get aggressive here with our out on Meta. Cross down at least 30 cents.
Yeah, well, that's a good point, because when you look at what the spread is on not just Meta, but any stock, when you put a stop order, you got to be cognizant of the spread. Like, if you're putting a stop at an even dollar and the spread is 30 cents, you should be crossing at least 30 cents. And I think that goes without saying. And by the way, if you're using stop orders to get out, and you're not using a market order, then you want that limit order to be like sufficiently aggressive. There's always a big difference between when we don't get a breakout trade entry we like with a stop order. I can live with that. But if it breaks your stop, you want to make sure that you get out. It's not fun when you miss a position that you want to get into on a break, but it's not the end of the world. But if a big level goes, you don't want to get stung and still be holding past your level just because you missed your stop. Tesla's right back at the low of the day. Quadruple bottom on Tesla at 392. DATS, by the way, DATS is now trying to make, it just went to $6 and it's trying to make its first pullback. So this, since we looked at it, will be the second opportunity to dip. I thought the chance at VWAP, but the pullback, maybe prior bar low here at 560 here on DATS. Certainly there's not much that's looking that good. I just took a little bit out of Mara, but if we're making next trades here, I feel like it's going to be DATS and trying to join this trend in to the upside. I see a few people saying Hoth is starting to go again. That was good this morning,
Right.
but yeah, it's kind of barcoding off of VWAP here. Volume's kind of dried up. See how bad the volume is? It just hasn't picked up. It's only sideways off of VWAP. There's no higher lows to work off of, no higher lows, higher highs. It's just kind of hugging VWAP here. So, I think I'd rather sort of look at DATS here and see if you can't find another long trade. It's, blue sky setup on DATS. It's not like there's any resistance out here on the daily time frame, right? So let's find something here on stock. It's moving a little bit more, and Hoth is wild, don't get me wrong, and it was a great one really, really early. But like Sean said about that XTIA or XTAI,
Yeah.
You had to be in that one really early. Like after the open, it was more bloodshed than anything else. Is that
Dara?
Keep an eye on DJT here. This actually got a spike to the downside in volume. This is, I guess, a couple candles ago now. It's worth noting we do have now outgoing Canadian Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau saying, quote, there isn't a snowball's chance in hell that Canada would become part of the United States. So could be some timing here with that push to the downside with that volume in DJT. I only bring this up because of that volume spike. Be aware of Trump media, heading your day's lows down about 3%, guys.
I mean,
why are you even responding to that as if
outgoing
it's
Prime Minister? Okay, let's
it's not literally.
let's just wait on all of that kind of talk. This guy's crazy. Okay, so and obviously you're talking about some of those ridiculous things that Trump was mentioning there, renaming. What was it? Not the Gulf.
It was
of Mexico.
No, it was the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America.
Yeah. So I mean, I like the ideas. I don't, go for it. I mean, it's very, very pro-America, and that's fine. But at the end of the day, we're not trying to change maps here or anything like that. But apparently, Donald Trump is, and that should just create a lot of excitement.
Settle it with math, Donald.
With math?
Well, who has more coastal area? The United States or Mexico in the Gulf of, right now, it's the Gulf of Mexico.
Right.
And you know what? If it ends up actually, I don't know the answer to this question. But if it ends up being the U.S., then it should be. Then it should be the Gulf of America. And at the same time,
they do figure it out.
They do call it North America. So you actually got it's kind of not that bad. But the whole 51st state, it's utter nonsense. Everybody knows what is meant by it. And just to give you a history lesson, everybody, when there was when the original North American Free Trade Agreement happened, there were a lot of people that felt there should have been prioritized one between Canada and the U.S. and then handle Mexico separately. That's not the way that it went down. So you wanted to make changes. You had to do the whole thing. And obviously, this is a negotiation tactic to get some kind of a different trade agreement. It is what it is. We've seen it before. It's just extreme talk. Ultimately, the Canadian dollar's actually been rebounding, I think.
Yeah.
It's been really, really bad lately. But, I think you have to take these things with a grain of salt. I just find it hilarious that he responded as if this was some kind of a literal thing. 51st state, literally. Making NAFTA great again.
Yeah. Nice trading on Meta. Meta does come back up. We get that 620 fill. I changed it. It was 620.25. We went to 620 flat. So we get that. That's 70 cents. So we'll just continue to put a little bit more money in the bag here on Meta. And then, by the way, there it is again. Let's go. Again, sometimes you get the shares, sometimes you don't, but we did right there. Look at that trade on AMD. We said we were waiting at 55. We're giving you the targets or the prices that we're at, and there it was right there on AMD, 128.55. We said we were trying to wait for that. It did come in. We are getting lighter and lighter on this position, probably about that 10%, maybe a little bit more left right now, about 10% left on AMD as we're starting to push a little bit, so that's good. So we'll just hold these two trades and then see what's going on. What about Fubo? Near the high of the it was at 640. Oh, I've already gotten out at this level.
I got excited for a second. I thought
I thought 5 was good level, but I remember that we had sort of talked about maybe 5 as so sorry about that. Not at the highs, but getting close to that 640 again. We'll see. I mean, now you're underneath VWAP. I would say, look, man, like the stock, like everything about it, the last couple of days has been great. Last 2 days, I guess, been pretty great. Today, up another 10%. Kind of ho-hummed it early, like we were in it, and then we got out on the 200-period break. So we wind up flat or slightly flat on Fubo. I was going to say slightly up, but flat on that name. Could have held it. We did get out of the 200 period. I'm just thinking that right now, if you're looking at this, there was the 200 period hold again, and then dance around. And then I feel like right there, about 12.10, that little, so we know it's worked, right? Because it's coming to the downside. Then you retrace back. I think you build the short into there. If it breaks, you get out. If not, you have that downside play. So if that's something that you are doing, I think that's great on Fubo, or you could just use VWAP same way, right? Like there's VWAP, there's kind of the hold where we get some more and able to get something out. Then there's the break, could have got out there. Instead we get out there. Look at the hold, look at the hold, look at the hold. There's the breakdown, and there's a retest. So I feel like this is the best short, whether or not you're using 200 or VWAP. And right now you're kind of in between, so you want to use 580. So I would say, look, man, I'd go short rather than long on Fubo today. Just doesn't seem like it wants to have the juice.
That was disappointing.
Could go at the end of the day. We did see a nice little bump up there yesterday into the close, right there, 550. But yeah, still up that 10%. But like same as that XTIA, it's like, you know, you're up pretty decently there. And I don't know what else you really want.
I am really shocked by that stock.
It goes to the downside. What, that XTIA?
Yeah, it ended up,
if you missed that level.
Ended up bleeding way more than I would have anticipated, because it looked like, for one point in the morning, it actually looked like it did this, like bounce off of like a prior support level. Because I was watching it a little bit in the pre-market, and then it did like a mean revert. I'm like, okay, that looks pretty good. And then it didn't follow through. But then it held this pre-market low level as well and did another mean reversion and looked like it was gently climbing back up. I thought it could be okay. And it really dumped. I think maybe check back in on this in like a day or two if it lulls everyone to sleep but holds 10 cents. Because this bounce, like this breakout's from 5 cents. So this is, stop me if this isn't obvious. But if it literally holds 10 cents after breaking out resistance at 5 cents, it might be in a day or two, if it just kind of dies down, it might be worth one of those like cheeky longs at 11 that you give to 10 cents before. I've seen, no way. I've seen that happen before when looking at penny stocks. Yeah, of course. GameStop's actually really going here. I said I was going to pay for locates. I didn't. Just a couple of quick notes, though. All right, Intel, if it gets to VWAP, we're going to have bids into VWAP because the stock is above VWAP and the market's at low, so you have to respect it. Mars trying to work its way back down to 1935, but GME is actually on one right now. Respect to GameStop. It's got a prior high here at 34 1/3. Every single time this is, if you look at this, every time on a day it's run into one of these prior highs, it almost never breaks it. And even if it does, it ends up sort of failing it. Like yesterday, it broke the high, but ended up failing back underneath. So that's just a bad wick. I think if you go back into here, like this is 34 even, kind of like that last line in the sand. If it does a fail break at this level, I think you want the mean reversion at that price, but I got to go pay for the locates because I said I would do it, and then I didn't actually go ahead and pay for these locates. They're going to be dirt cheap. I checked AMC. It's literally not moving today, so it's not even a sympathy play on AMC. But if we fail this 34, that's a high. Go all the way back to Roaring Kitty and that, what are we calling it, the live stream? Like that last event, and the lower high was 34. That's exactly where we are. So a mean reversion off of that level, if it breaks trend, that looks like it's worth a shot to me. Just happens to be at a key price, and yeah, super cheap locates for us on GameStop. Basically free.
Basically free, yeah.
Yeah, not even a quarter of a cent.
Okay, yeah, really free then. So we really like what's been going on here with GameStop. Neil was just looking at it. So again, if you guys are on that stock, probably a pretty good situation now, breaking through $34. Looks like it's a strong one. There's the move. There's the break. So I think like 33.20, that would have been pretty good there. If you're looking at a daily chart, we had talked about this over and over again. What a great level down here at 20 to 22 bucks, really held out. And now you're starting to sort of loop up here. I don't know what the reason is or the catalyst, but there it goes. Well, I guess that's the same thing, reason and catalyst, but still going to the upside again. I was trying to find something else to really look at. I mean, I was trying to think about IBIT. IBIT all the way down now again. Like, we were talking about this morning and holding that $100,000 level, big break right there to the downside now. IBIT down 6%, really had a hard time all day trying to get going. Never could. Never even sniffed VWAP except for at the open. So well underneath, man. All of the bears today definitely winning. No bull's going to be happy with this if we close the day this far underneath VWAP. I mean, this is the largest we've been right now. So selling pressure continuing here on BTC, which kind of sucks. I mean, I was just like yesterday, everybody like Wayne, everybody's all celebrating like, yeah, man, 100K is going to hold and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's what the hodlers are hoping for, is that these continue to hold. But, you know, I mean, we're using 15-period moving average, 15-minute charts on this, and we've been talking about that for a minute. The break rate there was at 100,000. Now you're straight down 4 or 5 grand. There's lots of great trading opportunities just trading Bitcoin by itself, especially using some of these indicators. So 100 does not hold. If you're trying to go short through that, it's been a good little trade. But where could we possibly bounce off of here on Bitcoin? I mean, this won't zoom out too far down. Let me go into a 45-minute chart here just to see where some of the consolidation is. Yeah, so I still think you still have this 93, 94 area looking dip buy-ish opportunities into that. So our last buy was 94. We probably should have got some out up here at 102, but that's not the plan for me. I'm selling the other ones. I'm selling Doge, Cardano, some of those Solana, some of those ones, and then putting it into Bitcoin.
Before we go, I know we're going to go to Adair in a quick second. When you sell Bitcoin, because I don't do it very often, are you one of those that puts it into another crypto, puts it into a stable, or?
So I don't sell Bitcoin, but what I would put it into that stablecoin.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So right now it's all sitting on USDC, and then that's what allowed me to buy Doge. Right. So I bought Doge at 33, took some out at 39. So I'm trying to.
I suspected, but you know, just
too addicted. I'm trying to like scalp in and out as much as that.
Yeah, anytime if I do it in my Coinbase, when I do it with the ETF, it's different. But when I do it in my Coinbase account, usually you want to put it into that stable. I know we're about to go over to. I think we're supposed to go to Adara because I did hear a call. DATS just ran the high of the day again because that's what's up, and that pun is going to be overplayed. Here, so it did make the bounce. It's the first couple of red candles or the second couple of red candles we got, rounded into it at 580, just broke the highs. There's no levels up here, so 6.5 and then $7 for DATS.
And where's our position board?
Adara.
Keep an eye on GME. I know everyone's looking at GME currently near day's highs, trying to clear 3430s. The reason I want to talk about this is actually the volume. We just got our largest volume candle of the day, just over 1 million shares traded near the end of this 15-minute candle. However, we're doing less than 1 RVol right now. So the relative volume here is right now 0.99. Now that has increased. About 5 minutes ago it was about 0.94. But this is not super significant relative volume. So do be cautious here with GameStop. Right now just under 10 million shares traded on the day. They do have a just under 8% short float. About 7.99% of their float is sold short. Tons of social media attention on this stock as well. I just checked on X. We're talking multiple tweets per second here. So keep an eye on GameStop, guys. Back to you.
I guess that's all it takes.
Yeah, activate. So they've turned on the machines again here, and that's fine. GameStop, nice move to the upside. Congratulations. This is basically a 6-month high, right? I mean, we haven't been anywhere even close to this since all of that, as Neil had mentioned earlier. So yeah, starting to take it out. We do have, I did zoom out there and notice this just from last week. That's this exact same high, 3450. So it looks like if you break that, it's off to the races, I would say again. And then, yeah, where do you hold it to? That started today down at 3250. So some opportunities there, but yeah, interesting. Needless to say here on the crypto space. So we're going to have to wait, on GME, up to 3440. I did not pay for shorts, but if you are in this name, that's a level. I just showed it to you a couple days ago. We just bounced off of that. So if you're long, I would say that's what's up. You know, and I just mean that like in a way where you need to be able to look to see like those past couple days. I don't think it's going to even load up here. Or will it? But this is on my 5-minute chart. It will eventually, but there it is right there. So we actually got into that. Looks like in the pre-market, I'm guessing, or just off the open, 34.50. So watch out for a little bit of a play there on GM.
Oh, you didn't use the voice?
Coming back in. Yeah, the 34.50, that one. Yeah.
Look, man, Russell Peters.
I know, but I have to be careful with that because, my kid did an impression of a I guess, an ethnic.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, but he did it at school. So.
it's so jacked
not
up
good.
because
It
like
just
I
was
can
like,
literally get away with any impression
Oh,
that I want.
Yeah,
Like,
well, it's different for
No, I know. Trust me.
certain
Like,
people.
Trust me, I know, and it's like I'll abuse that privilege every single chance I get, as far as I'm concerned. Because funny is funny. Fabian just grabbed his
Even a
lunch.
little bit late there, my guy.
Well, that's a big. That's not a normal plate. Oh, like Fabian came in, and trust me, we get like individual plates for the salad that we get at lunch. You know, they're decent, but they're like this tall. Fabian just came in, and it was
Fabian
like
was crushing it.
stacked. But apparently, he was kindly bringing Ramin's lunch as well, so he does have the regular meal there. Just one more note here. Well, I mean, not one more, but another note. DATS did just tag the $6.50 level. So then now the new plan is it just went 580 to 6.5, and it's got a new trend line. So remember that dip off $6? There's the bottom. There's the set of higher lows. If it closes under the trend line, I'm out. Otherwise, let's see if it gets to $7 on DATS. So right now, and I should really get the algo guys to someone should code something. So if I draw a trend line, I can have it automatically reprice my stop order.
For sure.
Because it's a useful thing. Because when you do it, if you're trailing this way, like there's nothing, all I have to do is consistently every single candle or every couple of candles, I'm just repricing my trailing stop, which is what it is. When it's not that that's that difficult. It's just, I would imagine it's not a difficult thing to code. You get some ChatGPT love to help me. So we're trying to get VWAP on Intel. The market is right back into the lows. Mara is kept pulling into, it's not VWAP, it's like 19.5 on Mara, and it's right back at like 19.4. Bitcoin's underneath 97,000. So it's in this range here. So about a 20, 25 cent range that Mara's in, trying to short the top and see if it can break down through the bottom. E. Lemon Musk asking about Adobe. You know, Adobe is still not looking good. This is one of those, like I've said it before, like Adobe feels like it's going to break down in a bigger way off the weekly. And not to repeat myself, but if we're talking about Adobe, when you lose this support on the weekly,
Roblox?
like look at $300, man. Like right down here at the $300 level, just feel like it's gonna get there. It looks very bad on this weekly chart, and usually sometimes gaps will fill, and certainly on momentum. This lost a 200 period on the weekly, which is a terrible sign, and probably gonna retest that 300 there for Adobe. That kind of stinks. Down another 2 points today. I mean, the market's down, so I guess that's its excuse, but it's been having a rough go of it, regardless of what the market's been doing lately.
Yeah, Adobe. Yeah, I mean, I think that's catching a lot of that chat sort of wave there, right? Like where people are always worried now about just what's real, what's not. Everything is too easy to replicate now. I mean, I was talking with Baxter about that. He's like, just try to Google something, like Google an image of an animal or something like that. You have no idea if that image is legit or if someone's, altered it or if it has, so it's like it's becoming, oh, there's my GME chart. I was going to say, it's becoming one of those things. So yeah, just be careful with all of that, especially with Grok too. Like Grok will just make, now the image on Grok is pretty awesome. You can tell it to do anything you want. And it's all for free there. I was noticing that.
You know what? I've actually noticed if I have to, and I'm not necessarily against ChatGPT,
right.
But I have to point this out because I was making fantasy football. I wanted to change my team name, to change my team logo. And I simply tried to make one for Michael Penix, like the Penix Mightier, which I thought was pretty clever.
Yeah.
And I could not, and I don't pay for ChatGPT. That's my qualifier. It did a perfect image, and all I said to it, and I tried 4 times, I simply said, Michael Penix is left-handed. Can you just swap the image so that he's holding the ball in his left hand where he's throwing? I tried 4 iterations of getting it to do that. It changed everything except for that. And I'm completely convinced that that's because I'm not paying for ChatGPT, and it would have worked just fine if I had been paying. So a bit of a pain in the butt there. And other images, some of the other ones are a little bit better. But that's how it is with the technology right now. Like, it's not perfect. It does a very good job, and it's a heck of a lot of fun. But you got to be really good at giving it prompts and probably have to be able to pay for it. So the market, as we said, continuing to bleed back down in. I mean, look, Nvidia's going down. Tesla's at the low of the day. The NASDAQ's at the low of the day. The ES is at the low of the day. So if you've got some shorts on, I think you want to be holding them. And if you found a low float runner that's going, I thought I drew my trend line on DATS. See, I have my trail. It has not broken yet, but yeah, this might break down underneath that trend line, we'll hit save just in case it bounces off. But if we lose the trend, I'm out. If we hold the trend, then we hold on to DATs. GameStop looks like it pulled back in rather rapidly there. So we were in DATs at that time. Andre, we did give our opinion on Palantir earlier, I do believe. I don't know this. I'm not a buyer of Palantir at these levels. I think for sure if you're DCAing into it, $60 and 40 are no-brainers. And they wouldn't be ridiculous if we see them this year. Like if you're going for the long term, then why not let the price come back into you, right? Like the best example I can think of off the top of my head was like Meta went from $300 to $100. So like never think that in a pullback anything is impossible. You know, I try to keep an open mind there, and that Palantir is one that I'd wait a lot deeper for some kind of a bottom.
Yeah, for me too. I mean, we talked about that $70 level there on Palantir. It sucks that it looks like it's coming into play, but it is. So that is what's up there on Palantir. And just like we talked about trying to find levels as far as like on Palantir, we zoomed out, we found that $70. I'm actually going to go look back at that $70 level right now. But it's GameStop right now that we nailed.
That makes sense.
That 34.50 level, wow, right now.
34.
You know, my name is Brocky Balboa because of Brock Bowers. Look what I just told it to do.
Yeah, but something like
that's pretty
Grok's
good. Make
good.
an image of Brock Bowers and Rocky Balboa.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to harp on ChatGPT, but Grok is.
I like this one.
Yeah, it's really good for.
What the hell?
You should be using that in the pool.
I'll figure it out. I was going to. I'll be using.
No, but then you're not supposed to use the same player 2 years in a row. You got to always switch it up every year.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah. Well, we'll see. I'll figure out something else there. Yeah. Well, Marvin Harris. I mean, you guys have been disappointing. I can't use him. Okay. So we will just continue. To watch out. All right, there goes. So I'll
just get his dad to.
I was just gonna, Marvin to handle those businesses and
Marvin
get that quarterback to make sure that he fires off to him a little bit more there. Kyler Murray a little bit too busy probably playing Sea of Thieves or something like that, or Call of Duty. I don't know what that guy's up to these days. But okay, so right now, just on a quick little look here, we did just get stopped out of Meta, which is completely.
Oh, I thought you were on GameStop. Sorry.
Yeah, GameStop flushing for sure, which is completely fine. Stopped out of Meta. Meta, good stock. We talked about where we are on that name. Get out of the way as it drips. And we got a good fill there as we put our own orders in. But you know what's really been hitting for us right now? Let's go, man. Wow, that was a good idea. Shorting AMD right now. Let's put a bid out there. It is, man. We will take that fill. We talked about the next target, 128. So real traders, stand the hell up, man. We talked about not getting anything out. We get that 128.50. Then we get down to that downside. So very, for me anyways, good trade there today on AMD. We hit it once, twice, thrice. Nice move up. There it is, once, twice. We missed the thrice right there. Could have reloaded it probably right into there as well, but we already had some shares on board. So now you come down into the downside here, and we watch out to see where that breaking spot is. 128 to the downside. We talked about that level already. I like it. I like that spot. I like the stock here. And AMD just keeps on going downside. So we picked this up a couple times. This will be a big stock today. We are down on Nvidia today, and that's it. Nvidia, everything else is flat, which sucks. And then we're making some of that back with AMD, but bigger loss on Nvidia than AMD today. So
have you seen AMD on the weekly?
Oh boy. No. Well, on the weekly, no.
200 SMA on the weekly. AMD is bouncing.
At some point, you got to buy it, I would think.
Yeah, it's like every single time it looks like it's breaking trend. Like this is the level that you want. It's been respecting it since the middle of last year, but maybe it just needs to get into earnings and get some good news on earnings or something there. Someone in the chat, and when you get a second, you don't have to do it now. Someone in the chat said, "Why was Rocky wearing a blouse?" He wasn't.
Well, that's what I was trying to point out.
Did I miss that picture? Sorry,
I was pointing it out. I was trying. It's not a blouse. It's this. It's like one of those Olympic.
What is that?
Oh, there we go.
Oh, that's yeah.
What the hell's wrong with this guy's face? Like,
whoa,
come on, Sylvester. Like, let's get going on here. Yeah, no, it's like one of those. I don't know. It's like just one of those.
Yeah, that.
What are they called? Like a penny.
Yeah.
Like
but obviously he wouldn't wear
an Olympic penny. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'm not. Message Elon.
At the end of the day, like
I didn't
Sly works too hard in the gym with the roids to have.
That's
the
what I'm
penny
saying.
On, you know what I'm saying?
You got to give it a little bit of a break.
80s action heroes, they weren't playing, man.
80s action heroes?
Yeah, like they.
No, man. Did you ever see Rambo? I mean, you want to talk about Sylvester Stallone? This man is just mowing people down left, right, and center. Man, like nuts, man. Rambo?
The escalation, if you ever want to teach, there's lots of ways that you can teach exponential growth. One of the ways to do it is to just look at the number of kills in Rambo 1, 2, and 3. Like that is one of the better examples of exponential growth. Like Rambo 1.
He's just mowing down people as he goes?
Because Rambo 1, I think like one person died.
Oh, what? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
you rewatch that.
Yeah,
it's not actually a very violent movie at all. It's a very good movie, and it's a really good message.
I'd have to rewatch. I mean, it's been a long time.
You know, when some soldiers come back and try to adapt back in and sort of how they're received. Like, it's a really fantastic movie. Like, Sylvester Stallone has 2 absolute quality classics in Rocky and Rambo. But, like, that being said, for a quick second, back to the old markets. Man, that GME doesn't want a bid. But Mara just caught a bid along with Bitcoin at 96.5. At 1925, which I guess makes logical sense because it's 1950 where it's been, I guess, cresting, and then it goes to that next quarter and then just held. So when it did this, whatever candle, there's a name for this, it's slipping my mind in a second, but I'll call it a reversal. We'll go 1965. I don't know if it counts as a doji. It's more like a little bit of a hammer, but either way, we take some out there at the 1926 level. DATS is holding on to the trend, and so there's that trend line. And this is not, like, it is what it is. Like, it pulled back from 6, one bottom, held that bottom, so I drew a trend line. It happens to bounce off it. This is where now my stop is underneath $6 because I'm doing it sort of manually, and let's just see how far it wants to go. Another fresh high here in DATS. I want to double check Hoth because that was the other one trying to go. It'd be nice if it could, but it's above VWAP, and the volume still stinks on Hoth. So if there's something else going, let us know what else is going there. Ike release, Rambo 3 or Commando.
Ooh, I was going to say there's also Predator and stuff like that. There's a couple.
Predator was nuts, but then, of course, you can't have that many kills in Predator because there's only so many of them that were there.
Right.
I feel like there was more in Rambo 3 than Commando. The Commando was with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Alyssa Milano, believe it or not, when she was.
Alyssa Milano was in one of those?
Yeah, like she plays her his daughter.
I'm down with some Alyssa Milano.
It wasn't very believable, by the way.
Doesn't have to be.
It
Okay.
wasn't.
All right. So, yeah, good job, Alyssa Milano. I will be probably trying to check that out. Who's the boss? You know, shout out to Tony Danza as well. I mean, great. You don't know. I mean, I'm assuming most.
Hold me closer, Tony Danza.
Most people would know who's the boss. I think. I mean, there's Family Ties. There's a bunch of like old Michael J. Fox.
Our viewers probably don't know much of, like,
Michael J. Fox?
probably not Family Ties, I would think.
I don't know. That wasn't a Canadian show.
I know, but like that's a little. It wasn't as big, was it? Family Ties.
As what? What was
Who's the boss?
No, I don't. I would have to look it up. I don't know the Nielsen ratings on that.
In my head, like Who's the Boss was a more
yes. Well, there was also Full House. I mean, there's a bunch of like kind of those nice family time talks.
You know what? I have to say this. I actually really didn't like Full House.
What?
I didn't think it was that good of a show, to be honest.
Joey and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I don't know.
Joey, cousin Joey, or Uncle Joey, maybe?
Bob Saget, for real, his stand-up, legit, though.
Yeah, that guy passed away. That was unfortunate. That was kind of out of nowhere, too, I think.
Dude, man. And he wasn't like the wholesome. All right, sorry, there is a turn-off.
No, apparently he's pretty vulgar.
Yeah, like he's very much. He's in, Dave Chappelle, Half-Baked.
Right, yeah, there's some cameos in there that you don't expect of him. Yeah, he's funny, great stand-up comedian.
Yeah,
I don't know if it was a brain tumor or what, but I think
it was something sad
or something like that. I don't know. But anyways, Bob Saget, great guy. I think, anyways. All right, there goes AMD. Let's go, man. I mean, Diamond Hands Club is in the building right now. That's $2.10 right now on this trade. So if you're going to sit here and trade and looking for bigger trades, I mean, I think this is the one here. We talked about AMD's being the trade of the day right here. I feel like we might have done it again. So it just goes back to the point of stay with trades as pretty much as long as you can. I mean, if it's going to continue to work for you, we saw Obi yesterday with his Apple trade. That really came in and started to pay out there at the end of when it came into VWAP and he got filled, and it was a great fill. Turned out to continue to go even lower than where he had gotten out, which could happen right here. And that's why we just look at charts and we try to do the best that we can. So there's 128. That was our target. You know, we talked like when it was up here at 129, we said we'll stop the bidding. We'll bid 128.55. That's what we did. We got those 3 fills all the way in. Then we let this relax into 128.25. We take that fill there, take another one at 128, and then downside at 85s. So now, I mean, we could either wait for the end of the day, which looks not too far away now. We do have those imbalances coming. I've been trying to stay net short. Obviously, I only have one position. We did get out of Meta, which turns out to be a great call, it looks like. It does bounce back immediately, but I mean, I wasn't getting out anyways right there. I probably would have waited for somewhere in and around 620, so we could have saved ourselves about $1 and gotten a little bit of a better fill there. But there goes Meta, bleed city down to that downside. But it's $2 and change right now, so we'll say basically, what up right now to the downside because the market is continuing to bleed Kyle Burdett. Those of you that do have some of those short options, puts, or I don't know exactly how you guys are playing this.
Puts are one.
VIX, anything like that, really starting to blow up. We talked about buying the VIX at 13. I don't even know what it's at right now. I assume it's much higher.
But we have only UV. I'd have to check on TradingView because we have a UVXY on our system. VIX isn't actually in our system to be able to trade. I just found something out that I can't believe I didn't think about on Circle for real trading.
Yeah.
Well, no, so okay, first things first, let me just, DATS made a break. It topped out at 7 and then broke trend. So we're in at 580 and then did a bit of a turn at $7, actually 7 even. I got out at 680, so holds on to trend line. We get the buck out of it, and let's see if it can pull back, hold the trend one more time. No, what I realized is our support that we get at real trading is like if there's a quote issue or anything, like use real-time support.
Right.
But there's offices all around the world. And like, it was a bunch of questions. I'm like, oh, dude, there was an office out of China. And I just realized, oh, I know what they're talking about. I can just use Google Translate. I mean, I don't know why it didn't occur to me. So when I see someone posting it, I'm like, oh, are we having any issues? And I just double check what their last message was with Google Translate. So shout out to Google Translate for making our lives so much easier. Because, hey, no, I wanted to know if we were having quote problems, but apparently someone was just asking if the market was open on the 9th, which it's not. The U.S. markets are not. Other markets,
the only market's closed.
Yeah, it's only the U.S. markets. Actually, when we're doing our show, like Toronto is going to be open, Europe is going to be open as well.
We're doing a show?
But volumes on those days, like when the U.S. market's closed,
I'm joking.
You generally don't want to be that active trading. Even like the Canadian market, volumes tend to be very, very much dead. So there can be some opportunities in there. Jay Lee, careful on DATS. Market cap is only 5 million. Yeah, just take it station to station. You know, like you take one failed break. I don't like breakouts. That's why I don't like the breakouts at this time of day. Like, let it fail the break. So there's a bunch of people long in there. Let it pull back. If it holds a trend, then jump in. Like, you know, let it try to, it broke again, broke the high of the day, pulled back, held the trend. Broke the high of the day, will it pull back and hold the trend? I'm out at 7 because I just want to be able to take profit. Like, just take your shot, get the buck, and see if it can't move on for sure. Chemical Reaction Man just said Palantir is tanking hard. Oh my goodness, it's through 70. That's a big volume candle there for Palantir. And 70 is a big, big level for PLTR. Last time it was here was the 11th, and it did a nasty wick down to $68. But each time it's gotten back there again, it's held right around the 71. This is different. I think you gotta, you can't, I don't think you can blindly look for this one in the long side. It's probably not till 68 half that you can look for the long there in PLTR. And not looking very good here for Palantir, but it's not looking good for the markets breaking into those lows. I got to double check. I think we're at the even dollar on Intel. So it's basically the same trade, rinse and repeat. Trended up from 19.9, goes to the top, mean reversion, trended up, mean reversion, go short, and now it's going to bounce off 20. If it bounces back to VWAP, I'm going to get out, but I'm going to hold it to the low of the day. One more time here on INTC. Mara doing something very similar. And apparently I should have stayed in DATS because DATS pulled back very briefly. Now it's at $7.50. Right? I don't know what to tell you because if you've got like, maybe you have like Fibonacci's that you can work with, or you know, maybe you got trend lines that you can work with, because you've got to go all the way back to 2022 on the weekly chart here to find recent resistance levels. Like I was looking at that $7 level, like, okay, if it does any kind of a pullback, I'm going to jump out off the $7 level, maybe some $8 here. You have a couple of wicks, but this is where I think a lot of bag holders might be at the next level on DATS. So yeah, let us know what else you guys are watching here. Not a lot of liquidity on that DATS. It is pretty thin. You want to make sure you're not holding if this thing starts dropping heavily back through. A lot of people keep asking about Hoth. I want Hoth to participate more, but the volume, even as it's trying to go, where'd the volume go on this thing? Like, it's breaking back out off VWAPs. Okay, that's fine, but show me some continuation on volume. We can get a little more excited about Hoth. I still maintain DATS looks a little bit better if you're trying to find one of these to go. Maybe looking for the next opportunity in DATS makes some more sense.
We keep looking at GameStop again, I guess. I'm just gonna hold AMD. Did you just talk about GameStop?
No.
All right, let's have a quick
look.
look.
About DATS again.
I mean, again, it's about $1 of a pullback, but the fact that it is almost at VWAP makes me think that there could be another bid here. Adara said that there was like multiple tweets per second and this and that. I mean, obviously it was insane, and that got it going. So we sort of know some of the ongoings here of X and all that, and when stocks go and when they don't. So you're just kind of looking for big volume spikes. So I think that there's a lot of people caught. I mean, obviously there would have been some buying in here, but anybody that sort of got wind of this move a little bit late is probably stuck in and around these areas, right? And so just be careful. Right now, it could flush back in. Like, anybody that doesn't want to hold this into the close, into tomorrow, is, if you don't want to hold it, then you got to fold it, right? And so that would be an out of in and around 33. Just look for a possible fade through VWAP. That tends to be what happens on these plays. So you'll get a nice move up, and then traders will wait to see when to flush out of it. And generally speaking, like VWAP or something like that, or some of these lows would be an indicated out, I would think anyways, for some of these traders. So just be careful. There's definitely traders caught in this area. You just tell by the volume. The volume picked up. This is when Adara was talking about it. We were all looking at it. Breaks through 34, goes right to that high again, then fades out. So yeah, people stuck right now. Sucks to be in that position, I understand, but that's why you always got to look out, and that's why hit the like and subscribe. I mean, we sat here as it was happening. Neither one of us takes the trade, so obviously something there, a little bit of a risk spot for anybody right now, long GME, especially at those levels. So just be careful with that trade would be my advice, and that's that. So I would get out if it does break 32.80 if you are stuck. But I do think there's an awesome opportunity to get long as well right now, even 33 change, something like that. If you're if a believer in this, I think there's an opportunity here. So get ready to make some plays maybe in GameStop coming out.
Yeah, I mean, you got to go to what's moving in there, and you're always going to have to pick and choose, right? So you pick Hoth. Like this morning, picking look, Fubo was a positive stock, but picking Hoth this morning would have been better. There's no other way around it. Hoth was the one this morning, and Fubo was only okay, and Hoth was an absolute blowout. But then this afternoon, DATS is just better than Hoth. So Hoth did just go, $2.60 to $3. That's great. That's 15% move off VWAP, but DATS is a heck of a lot stronger. It's still heading back into the upside. I do want to have a look at some bigger cap names as well. So just hanging on to the shorts and looking over to see if DATS is going to set up again because it's 320. But look at Tesla right back at the low of the day and just continuing to go. It seems like we want that bottom in the next couple of days. And when I say that bottom, I mean just a couple of days ago, we're in the mid 370s. I think we can get back there again. It just feels like it's a really heavy stock at this moment. You had that great evaporation to the upside a couple of days ago. And to immediately lose it, it's just like, if you're going to do that, why wouldn't you retest that 380 level here on Tesla? So not looking very good for them. Let us know what else you guys might be watching in here. We'll get the early look on the imbalances. I'm not expecting a heck of a lot will be there, but we have sometimes seen, we bleed these, and we're almost a 2% day. We have these bigger days down on the NASDAQ. Sometimes you see some buy imbalances for some shorts profit taking. So that may be worth looking into, but no, right now you're just holding on to your shorts and maybe find another small capper that's running. Nothing has hit my halt scanner today, except for, well, it's weird. Like usually it's been such a good low float runner type of situation that almost every single day, like my halt scanner is going to have a bunch of things that are running. It's just this one stock, SPI, for the entirety of the afternoon. And I wouldn't trade that with a 10-foot pole. It's halted like 11 times.
Yeah, just again, to Neil's point, be careful with all of these names, especially into the late spot of the day. I mean, as we get later on, there's going to be, some juggling of positions. So just be careful. I mean, I think you guys all are aware of what we're talking about. I mean, here's Fubo as well. Underneath, we talked about what we thought about this name. Obviously, VWAP would be great, but you're still underneath. So everybody that's been buying today, still underneath. So watch out for a possible fade there in that name. What a good out that was for Meta. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that we're talking about sometimes, and I know it's going to sound, cliche and everything like that, but sometimes the best trades that you make are the ones that you avoid. And it's just like, that being able to hold that, and like if we had held that all the way back into some of these levels, like now I'm almost thinking, and I think even Obi, Neil and I, we always mention, I mean, all of us always mention all of this stuff, but at the end of the day, I just wonder if there is something maybe about some of these kind of plays where it's like just get out, and we always talk about being risk managers, so you get out when there's a problem, and then at the end of the day, you can now say, okay, if I like the long, this is a better spot. The market's been so volatile. Wow. Now we're in 250 in the money now. The market's been so volatile that you can get these fills. It's just like on AMD when we waited for this 130 to come through, boom. Right? Huge move to the downside just on crypto. If you waited for that 100,000 to break, you're rewarded right there as well. So there are opportunities in this market. So don't feel like, if you miss it, and we actually talked about that earlier, we got absolutely roasted. First of all, it's 322. So let's think about possibly exiting more and more of these positions, honestly, as we go. But end of the day, we got hit on Nvidia early, and we switched over to AMD, and then that became this trade. So it just became a banger of a trade immediately, and it changed my attitude. It changed like everything about the trade for me today. And then we were confident in it, and we hit it again. So it's like sometimes, sitting in those losers and letting them stew, not a great idea. So just got to get like right back in that saddle and make that play one more time, which we did. So. So far so good. Nice little pullback in there for AMD as it continues to go lower, man. $2.50 in the money. We're almost at this low one more time. So for me, let's just put a bid, and we'll see if we get a bid there. I think it was 36s or so. So we'll just put a bid there. And you're going to see me often do this, where we just sit around and put bids and offers. And that's so that when we get hit, we don't pay fees. Most days I'll pay like $30 or $40 in fees, but that's for a couple hundred trades. So it's trying to manage that. And, we do, I think we do a pretty good job of that. So we'll wait to see if we do get those bids and offers right now. Down to 127.35. We have like 5 to 10% left of this position. So not very many shares at all. But, my best stock there today with actually the only stock I've been winning on today, AMD.
Stick to the winners, man. Like it's an easy thing to say. And I know, you just said it's cliche, but you know what? A lot of good sayings are cliche. So who cares? Sometimes we just have to repeat them. Yeah. In the end of the day, I'm going to make a bold statement. Intel's going to close green today. That's not a bold statement at all. I'm just going to pretend that it's a bold statement. It bled, good
bold statement.
Oh, it bled like a you-know-what yesterday, but someone is buying it at $19.90. It closed at $19.87. 1987 was a fantastic year. George Bell won the MVP for the Toronto Blue Jays, although we probably should have won the World Series that year, if not for Bill Madlock taking out our shortstop in the final week of the season, and then we lost 7 in a row. Whatever, dirty slide. But 1987 was the low. You guys close. 1989 bottom once, twice, and now 3 times. I'm out because it holds on to this low. I don't know if it's there just yet, but Intel, look at the higher low it's putting in. Double bottom on this daily chart, triple bottom on this daily chart, check that. 1, 2, 3, and look at it hold this higher low just underneath the $20 level. The market is absolutely bleeding today, and Intel just holds on to this low. So you know where I'm probably going with this. I think tomorrow, 2035, that's kind of a double top, triple top if you count the afternoon yesterday, whatever. I think tomorrow looks like it could be. If we get any kind of a rebound, Intel through 2035, right in here. It's clearly found some kind of a temporary bottom down $20. When a stock stops going down when the market's bleeding, it means it's finding some kind of an equilibrium, whether that's sellers abating or that's buyers stepping in. Ultimately, that doesn't really matter. it's certainly going the other direction every time it gets off that low. I'm still in Mara. We'll hold on to that one because Bitcoin hasn't really caught too much of a bid yet. But yeah, respect the bottom here on Intel, as it does look like it's starting to get better. Seriously, this stock is allergic now. So this time it does not pull back into the trend line. Every single time it made a fresh high since we came on, it pulled back into the same trend line. This time it doesn't. It actually bounced much higher and just continues to go 280% to the upside on DATS. You've got to be kidding me. Alma Hamada, can't you use the same logic for Ford? Maybe, but I actually haven't looked at Ford in quite some time, to be honest. I think logic. I kind of gave up on Ford. Sold it in my personal accounts on the last pop and haven't really been paying attention to it. I just don't like the legacy automakers as in, I don't know what the there is. At least, if Intel to still have a not good core business, but at least they do have a spin-off with their foundry, which has a chance to be something, down the line. So there is a there for them. You could make the same argument for Ford down at $10 here. Maybe there is some trading underneath the $10 level or at the $10 level, maybe 9.5 on Ford, but not a very good stock. But the bounces have been okay, except for recently. At least with Ford, you used to get a good 30-40% bounce while holding a dividend, so it wasn't that bad to churn it off the 10-11 level. Now you're not getting any kind of a bounce. So that's why it's a pass for me.
Yeah, I'll be selling Ford. I saw GM was making a move the other day too. I kind of want to sell all of them, to be honest with you. I actually do not like the car business. The more and more that I'm looking at some of these things is just Tesla's there, but Tesla's getting a bump up again, a lot of it because of the robotics, I feel like. Yeah. And then some of these other companies just don't have it right now. And I even know, just talking with my older kid, it's like he doesn't ever has a plan on even driving. There's been, obviously with Waymo and with Uber and some of these, as we say, full self-drive and things like that. It's becoming, if you live in a city...
Baxter or Bear?
Baxter, both of them.
Okay.
I really don't think any of our kids will have the same need. Look, if I didn't have a, insane kid as far as sporting, and my life is all about sporting anyways, so baseball, things like that. But if I don't have all kids and to travel all over the place, man, I would just be renting cars. I would just be, all right, this is what's happening today. I need to get a car, throw that down and then just whatever, grab a car. But, for me, for now, I need it for transportation and everything like that. When I'm getting older, I don't know. I just feel like times have changed a lot as far as needs for transportation and whatnot. So we'll...
because I think it's obvious for our younger kids. Yeah. I'm a little surprised that Baxter would think never. I think that's still an age where maybe
he wants
would.
to. Yeah, again, I think it's he wants to live, in a city and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, okay. Well,
so he's trying to just basically say for him, it's more about convenience of the Ubers and this generation is.
Oh, they're all
about that, right?
Well, they got it made for that.
Yeah.
For a bunch of other stuff here in Canada, maybe different. I'm actually a little bit surprised because I was about to make a comment look at things like Uber, look at things like Tesla Automation,
right.
Look at Google, Waymo, and then I was about to throw in there Mobileye. I'm like, why not look at something like a Mobileye?
Yeah.
And I pulled it up and realized, why the heck is Mobileye down 11.5%?
Ooh, why?
So I don't know.
Oh, so maybe Adara knows.
Adara?
I couldn't find anything on Mobileye. However, if I had to give a reason, we know Nvidia talked a lot here about some of that autonomous driving, and they really think that autonomous driving is part of the robotics revolution. We know INTZ was up this morning with that catalyst. We know Uber was another company they're collaborating with in that regard. So there's one of two ways you could view this. A, this Mobileye could be viewed as basically a move to the downside because it wasn't Uber, it didn't get that collaboration, or it wasn't INTZ. The other way you could view this was a lot of names that should have benefited maybe from the CES are actually trading a lot lower on the day. So a lot of these semiconductors very weak. Nvidia, very weak. So either way, it looks like Mobileye is likely down on some of the CES business. However, I could not find any catalyst on it. It's worth knowing yesterday it was actually mentioned as a buy on CNBC. So it is getting some positive catalysts. The other thing with Mobileye to be aware of, pretty hefty short float, about 24.23%. But yeah, it looks like it could just have to do with the fact that this sector is on watch with that Nvidia bullishness at CES, guys.
I'm gonna make a
Great call.
Yeah, that's a great look. Thank you, Adara. Like obviously it's not looking very good, but just one observation on Mobileye. Yeah, there's a hedge fund out there that's short the living bejesus out of this every single time. It's so much as approaches the 200 period moving average. So part of this too is a technical fail of the 200 period. So all it needs to do, well, I shouldn't say all it needs to do, because hey, stocks can have good reports and that's great as well. But technically, hold the 200 period moving average and break out a top above it. That will cause some shorts to start covering on this. The gentle trend to the upside, when a stock has been doing this, that's not scaring anybody, because since January of last year, when it dumped, since that moment, you don't even need an anchored. I mean, an anchored's probably just going to be the same thing. The 200 period has been the line. It tried to cross it just yesterday, or tried to hold above it just yesterday and today, and there's your failure. So the trend line comes in. If it holds trend and breaks out this top, I think there's a potential trade here in Mobileye, but it needs to break out above the 200 period moving average. I think that would cause some short covering. 24% short float. I had no idea that Mobileye had that kind of a short float on it. It didn't seem like that kind of a stock. So yeah, that's a squeezable name if it can make that move over the 200 SMA. And speaking of moving averages, I just looked at the 50 or the 200 period on Mara, which is down 7%. It's there right now.
Ooh.
So it's actually at the 200 period on the daily, which has been prior support. So this is one of those obvious levels that if it reverts from here, get out. If it breaks down from here, look out below. I think that kind of goes without saying. So if it reverts trend, get out of the trade. If it doesn't, all it has to do is break away from these teens, and there should be some room to the downside on Mars. I'm just going to move my trailing stop. It is now 330 or past 330. Check that. Early look on the imbalances is not much of anything. We got TD, but then that never really matters because it's in Canadian bank to the sell side. Uber, that's from this morning because you can always check by the time. So there's really nothing in here. Like you could say TSM for 400,000, but that's pretty small. So nothing on the early look that's going to stand out. We'll have to come back at 350 and see if any imbalances are going to move this market. And at this point, with the market down like this, I tend to think if the imbalances do nothing, then you just kind of continue where you're going. Just watch out for the reversion if there's some buy imbalances is the only concern.
Reverse.
Assuming you're short, that's all.
Yeah, we're going to just take advantage of this. It's $3. Like this AMD is really coming out right now. We talked about like this name. What a disappointment. It's now down like I say that not even for like, it's really sad. Like this stock, I'm not in it. It's just for those of us that chased, like there's 220 here. That high is even if you play this 212, 215, something like that, take away this high wick, you're still down like almost $100 from that high. I'm almost exactly $100 actually. That high is 227. You're down to 127 now. So, Nvidia is like right here, for example, when AMD is right here, Intel, Micron, other names continue to get hit. I think there's the Broadcom. We just talked about Mobileye. Obviously, Mobileye is a little bit different. ARM as well.
Marvell is holding up really well, actually.
Some of the names are pretty good, but I think ARM's high is still 190, isn't it, or something like that? And I mean, you're coming in to ARM right here down to 1. Well, it just bounced. Marm's had, man, I have to stop telling my wife I have a bad memory because that 190. All right. He's like, when I forget something, he's like, I'm getting old. I don't have a good memory, and then it's like picking these stocks out of the blue. But right there, 190 as the high, almost dead on. I'm to surprise myself. That went down to 120. That got clapped. So just after the last couple of days, nice move up. But ARM's another one of those names that, is holding on really for dear life. I mean, if you break that back down below this 125 again, then I do think there's going to be lower and some more pain in some of these names. So just watch out for that. I tweeted something out, and thanks Adara for this as well, bring it to my attention. This year, we are expecting to have some decent IPOs right now. SpaceX, $350 billion. I mean, come on. That would be pretty nice to get that, right? Stripe, we talked about PayPal and Square. Shein there on the clothing side of things. CoreWeave, StubHub. use StubHub all the time. I think that's a good business. I like it. The one that I'm most excited for.
Over SpaceX?
Yeah. SpaceX will be too highly priced. Yeah. I mean,
Well,
I think.
yeah, it will.
Yeah, like SpaceX probably tanks 50%, honestly.
But that's still going to be an opportunity.
Yeah, it'll be. Yeah, no. So I think let's just say SpaceX comes out at $100. I'm buying it at 50. All right.
Hey.
All right. So then there we go. I like Discord because of Reddit. I mean, Reddit has been huge. And I just think that that's another social media play there with Discord, Klarna, Chime, and Liquid Death.
What is that? Okay, so
what is Liquid Death?
shout out to one thing that I don't know out of all of those names.
Fancy water, apparently, is what Ramin says. But if you want fancy charts, so anyways, go over there. Let me know. I just said to everybody, what do you guys think? Which name are you most excited about? We've got to handle some business here with some e-signals. So yes, very, very much aware of that. Thank you, Miss Ramin. Lightning fast market data with e-signal. We talk about this all the time. We talked about it with Jeff Mendel here today as well. What you're looking for when you're trying to trade is the best information. And honestly, 10 cents, some of these ADRs that continue to go through, you want to be able to trade various markets. eSignal gives you that opportunity. It's an entitlement-based platform. So you want to trade Europe names, you just tell them you want Europe quotes, and they'll get them for you. Same thing there. OTC markets, futures trading. And then you can also simplify it by paying less too, right? If you're just a futures trader, take advantage of these screeners. Take advantage of everything that eSignal has to offer. Upgrade, extend your condition with charting. Get eSignal right now because honestly, it does change the game. It's just so nice to know that when your charting goes down, it's probably your problem, not theirs. And I think that that's held. We sit here all the time. It's like, oh my God, are quotes down or something like that? I'd hate for it to be, having to deal with charting. So it's definitely something that we've taken advantage of here at Trader TV and at Real Trading, as many traders trading on the eSignal platform. Tesla, someone just said 390. Is it that?
Sparkling water? Oh, okay.
Wow. This is a trade too, with only now 10 minutes left. I mean, psych, I'm still short up here. No, I wish. Yeah, that short earlier on the day, 410, 412. Burned up there. If you held that short, you are on fire right now as we come right back into 390, looking to hold that level. So we'll see. Good bounce spot for sure. The NASDAQ continues to bleed down. I mean, we don't have $3 winners by accident right here. I see you've covered Intel. It's great. The market just continues to flush down. So we have very, very small position left, but we've been staying short, and it's been paying off short the market.
Yeah, just hang on. I did get out of Intel, but I think that's different. Like, Intel has held the low while being green on the day, so let's see what happens with it. MAR is very close to possibly reverting the mean. So since we got in, there's a very clean, obvious trend to the downside and a double bottom at 19. If it now breaks out above the mid-teens, I'm just going to jump out of that trade. So just an obvious trend reversal. I'm not going long the stock because I don't want the long, but I'm certainly going to get out and just handle and just work on what might be the next opportunity, which apparently is not going to be a dip again in our good friend DATS. So stop is in for
that is not what's up. Apparently.
No, DAX is now up 300%, and it's 340. Absolutely not chasing it this far away. It's now $3 from VWAP, a full dollar away from the trend the trend that we worked with earlier. So it's just kind of really far gone. Not the most liquid name up here. Volume's still fantastic. So if you held on to it, congratulations. But I'm just not going to chase this one. Yeah, I just looked up Liquid Death, like sparkling water, mountain water, I guess they call it. Fancy iced tea and fancy sparkling.
So you like?
Water. Oh, I've never heard of it, but apparently popular in LA. So my daughter likes iced tea.
Ramin knows all the spots.
Ramin knows a lot.
So Ramin, would you invest in that? You think Liquid Death has a chance there, or? All right, yeah, it's an influencer thing. So you got. Oh my God, probably yes, probably not.
Probably yes, probably not.
Like I'm trying to go, oh yeah, maybe, and she goes, well, no, maybe not. After all.
Well, how's Celsius doing?
Right, yeah. So she likes Shein the most out of. You said Shein, Discord, and...
You'd invest in Shein over Discord.
Right, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Oh, my God.
no risk on with the new
down with
administration in
Discord.
Shein. I'd feel
is
better
my
about
jam.
Discord than Shein.
Discord would be my pick there. I mean, I think SpaceX would be the best, but again, what we're trying to talk about is like, I mean, again, I don't know what about the advantages there of SpaceX and their IPO. I mean, we saw Coinbase come out at like 360, 370. Obviously, turns out to be a great business, but does go down to like $50. You know, so to sit here and like predict where these stocks are going to go. I mean, look at Reddit. I think
SpaceX to me they're NASA now. Like I think it's satellites. It's one day. This is going to sound crazy and insane, but one day. You're going to land on an asteroid and you're going to mine that asteroid, and it is going to completely upend at least one or two commodities because the abundancy of certain minerals on asteroids. Like it's going to happen one day.
Yeah.
And you ask me, like, if you look at so there's GE Aerospace. Like, who's it going to be? Is it going to be GE Aerospace or is it going to be SpaceX? And when I look at those, like that needle landing thing, it's like, oh my goodness, the things they're accomplishing. So if you're just looking for like a dream play before I die at what the next frontier is going to be, like I want to have something invested in that, but it's probably not going to benefit. It might not benefit me. It probably, when those shares get passed to my daughter, that'll be the kind of thing. So I'm kind of excited about them. I was asked and I didn't get to it. And yes, Sebastian, I watched a lot of Star Wars. But I do believe, look, one day we've already landed on an asteroid. That happened years ago. This isn't, it's like, trust me, like people think, we're excited about quantum computing, like we're excited about automated driving, but when I was a kid, those are things that were pipe dreams. So I don't think it's a pipe dream.
Well, and did you see Back to the Future, man? I mean, these guys are rolling around on skateboards and stuff. I mean.
But that's one, like, where the heck where's our skateboard that floats?
That's what I'm trying to
The hoverboard.
That's what I'm trying
That just never happened. I was asked about Enphase, and I didn't answer the question, so I'm going to get to it now because I'm not in anything. I don't think I'll take anything unless there's a crazy imbalance. I know we repeat ourselves often with these bottom-picking names, but if a stock is consolidating underneath a prior, like downward trend is obvious, and it's consolidating underneath the prior low, the 2023 low, this is a consolidation. At least at a bare minimum, have it break back above this level, or even revert so it gets above the 50. Either on the daily, which it's doing so on the daily, but I also want to show how bad the weekly chart is. I know it looks better on the daily for everyone that's looking at Enphase. I would say if I were to swing trade in the solar space, it would be this one. No questions asked. But I'm not feeling very great about the kind of rate environment we're going to have this year. Mm-hmm. And if we only get 0 or 1, then that's not good. But if we get back to maybe like more than 2 cuts this year, I think that could be okay for Enphase. The 50 period, I think, is worth it might be worth like a trade shot if it breaks out at 80 and just give it back to the prior 50. But I tend to like plays in stocks that, hey, if this one makes a move and does that nice trade, I want to hold on to a third for the long term. That's why I did it in Snowflake, because then I can just roll the last third into a stock that I don't mind holding, whereas I wouldn't want to do that with Enphase. I probably wouldn't take that trade myself, but it doesn't look terrible. Like momentum's momentum when they try to go. All right, what else we got going on here? So DATS is, double-click that a few times. DATS starting to pull back in. Maybe it gives trend line one more time, but it's 345, so I doubt it is going to benefit me. I mentioned we would trail out of Mara if it broke trend, so it broke trend off of the low of the day. And for Mara, I never zoomed out for this, but the other thing about Mara, look where it turned. Sort of obvious top here, resistance at 2050, underneath the 50-period moving average. The only regret was when this failed the pre-market high, maybe not having a look at this for a short earlier. Because I favor shorts in Mara. I think if you're looking for the long plays, long Bitcoin itself, and I like shorting Mara when it's weak, because when Bitcoin goes down, like Mara tends to be a really good short. And when Bitcoin goes up, like Bitcoin is just easier to trade, and Mara doesn't seem to have the same relationship when Bitcoin's going up. So that's my 2 cents.
All right, I mean, I was looking at Coinbase there, but I mean, right now, 96,000, pretty big level coming into play, like 93, 94 there for Bitcoin. So we'll see if there's any reaction to that. With less than 5 minutes now until the imbalances, I'm going to cover again. We just had a nice run on AMD. It's still 250 in the money, but we'll cover some there as it bounces straight off the 50-period moving average. great opportunity, obviously. I wanted to look at DraftKings because this was another name that we talked about buying something if and when it does come in. I say when, like I really do think the market is going for another leg down here. I don't. Right now, it's easy to say when you're down 2%, but I mean, I'm kind of looking here at the NASDAQ. Actually, why don't I just call up the NQs? NQ $F. The forward future looking contract right here on eSignals. So, all right, so just looking at this name, we only have 4 minutes to go. So there was the nice bump, 22.4. Now we got to hold this 50-period moving average. I think that gets tested tomorrow, but the problem is that's 200 handles lower from here. So you probably have another % and change to go before that happens. Now we already had looked at this. This is a daily chart. So we did dip our head below that 21,000 marker. It did stop at 21,970. That's not very aggressive pullback at all. So what if we don't hold this next time? We haven't broken the 50-period moving average since September on the NASDAQ. We did break it, but then got saved by whatever the hell happened on Friday. And then yesterday, we also had a nice move to the upside as well. And now you're going to fade right back in and take that down. I would say I'm not dip buying anything right now, period. I think there's a lot more pain to come if we still got to wait for tomorrow. I mean, we still could hold. But if we break that basically 21,000, so what are we at right now? We're at 21.3. So as I said, 200 or so more handles to that downside. And
you know what I like to do?
And we're in problems. What's that?
I feel like everything that we want to say on this Thursday show, I'm kind of throwing in there.
Yeah.
But when you break the 50 period on the NASDAQ, every month that we're underneath it, I dollar cost average into it.
Yeah, that's going to be the play, yeah.
I think it's just like it's one of those like, and sometimes I always have a favorite thing that I'm buying, but it's one of the SPY, the NASDAQ, or the, I shouldn't really say the Dow because I only did it a couple times when you guys were talking about it. But it's usually this: do I like the SPY better or do I like the NASDAQ better? If I feel really good about the tech dip,
I'm just so overloaded with NASDAQ.
Oh, I'm with you, but I think you do get some diversification. I just like to be buying the markets and holding it. I was asked a question from Jarhead.
What's up, Jarhead?
So what up, Jarhead, one of our longtime viewers, about this SVMH. So it turns out there was a stock that did over 1 billion shares that we didn't notice today, and it was SVMH. It's an 8-cent stock, so that's the caveat. 1.2 billion shares worth of volume. But you know what? That's a lot of volume, and this was very tradable. I promise you there's day traders that did very well on this stock.
I would think so.
Yeah, I mean, like the stock with the range is 5, maybe more like 5.5 into 9.5 cents. That's a very good range. I did not notice this stock, so I'm only pulling it up just now. And it looks to me, it's a multi-day run. Like it just broke out above its 50. You can look at some technicals here, but here's what's interesting. This prior wall, 7.5 cents, with this top here at about 9. So the fact that we topped out at 9 makes sense. Look where it's trying to base out at, right around that 7 to 7.5. So I'd look continuation on this around the 7-cent level. If it's gapping underneath it, no fly zone. If it's holding that tomorrow, playing over under, maybe into the 10-cent level. And if it can break out at 10 on a day 2, why not? Like you just treat those, it was doing 1 billion shares. Just pretend it's not 10 cents or 8 cents and it's $8. So when you look at the level 2 on something like this, and here, I'll just pull it over. Like if you look at a level 2 on something like this, you'll see, like pretend it's like $8.20. And it just psychologically for some people that's a difficult thing, but that's basically what you have to do. Just pretend that it's, you move the zeros a decimal point a couple of places. But you can only do that if the volume is fantastic. If an 8-cent stock has done 5 million shares in volume, that's trash for a day trade. But if an 8-cent stock has done 1 billion shares in volume, that's good. And there's nothing against trading it. So yeah, look at that 7 to 7.5 level, and that looks pretty solid. 10 seconds till we get the imbalances here.
Ooh, okay.
So the timing is just good. The market's trying to bounce a little bit, so maybe we're going to see a few buy imbalances. Absolutely no idea, but let's find out in a second. We've got PSTX. Oh, that's a buyout being deleted.
PSTX, okay.
That's a buyout being deleted. Ignore that. Nvidia's 900,000. That's a nothing burger.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. Not much happening. We had AMD. I mean, the only one I was interested in was AMD as a sell, but that's, again, 31 million shares when we try to teach about these things. That's only 600,000 shares. So that's not going to be like a needle mover or whatever here for AMD. So, Yeah, just covered it. We are very, very small on this name right now. So yeah, we'll just take it for what it's worth right now. AMD, and I don't know what it's worth, but we are almost out of the name. Yesterday we did have a reversal play. So Nvidia comes out a sell, but see, there's not really that reaction to it. Yesterday Nvidia, I think, was a buy, right? And then we were waiting for it to flip. So right now you'd actually, because it's a sell, you'd actually wait to get long now to see if you did have any sort of leeway into that kind of a trade there with Nvidia. So we'll have a quick look to see if there's any sort of give and go there with Nvidia. So right now we're looking for it to flip and get into a buy. So we'll let this one come down. Maybe if it gets to 140, we can look to pick that up on that strategy. But for right now, Nvidia is making that move a little bit lower.
Yeah, it's a great look on. I mean, the chip names have all been bleeding, but there is a little bit of a bounce happening. Oh, this. So by the way, this just to confirm that massive imbalance on PSTX, the stock's being bought for $9 plus a 70-cent CVR, so $9.70. It very creatively has a high of $9.67 today. It's just being deleted today. So it's already made the move on the imbalance and it's starting to bounce. I think it's a little bit of a nothing burger. Unfortunately, DATS is still holding. Wow, it just bounced off the trend line at 350. This stock refuses to really drop. It has now held a trend at $7. It might be headed back up to the $8 level. I just saw Northwest in the chat, Northwestern Canopy Development. I don't want you to think that's a ticker or anything. Mentioning Oklo. There is something we didn't look at today. I'll cop to that. I did not look at any of the. I didn't look at Oklo. We looked at. I think we looked at a few quantum names.
There was some, I
didn't look at any of the nuclear names today. I didn't look at any of the quantum names today. And Oklo, look, I know it's down 2.7%, but that looks pretty solid. Recent breakout that while the market bleeds, held on to prior highs. So holding on to prior highs is generally speaking going to be good for a okay. LO, still with that good short float. Yeah, I like that. Like holding on to the prior low, maybe a breakout for tomorrow. You want to note these things. Like what's the thing that when the market was making fresh lows, it held its low. So Intel managed to hold its low. Oklo obviously held its low pretty decently. I didn't look at SMR today. I don't know if you did. I know I didn't. What did this? Oh,
it's down 9%. Yuck.
Okay, so SMR did lose its bid. Although it regained it a little bit here, it did lose its bid here. So maybe not looking as good. Look at this fail at a prior high on SMR. Yikes.
Yep.
Did this might be SSR tomorrow. I think it went down 10%. Okay, SMR, I think it might have tagged down 10% here. So this could be an interesting reversion play if it can catch a bid tomorrow. And I just realized I kept this on a 30-minute. I like a 15 a little bit better. I was wondering why that looked odd to me. Yeah, I like SMR. SSR bounce play. It has been on a comeback trail. Maybe it can get back above the 50-period moving average. It just means the uptick rule is going to be in effect for SMR because it tagged 20% down. Nasty. It's been that kind of day.
Yeah, a lot of names sort of moving back and forth here at the end of the day, including that SMR, obviously. But I was going to wait. Let's just see if it works. I want to be... I don't necessarily want to take this too hard right now. So let's wait to see here for Nvidia. So we talked about it maybe flipping over. It does get into that 140. So I'm going to see about going. I'm not going to take the long because it wasn't that dramatic. But let's just wait to see as the NASDAQ really starting to pull down. We're still at $2 in the money. I don't even see Nvidia anymore, but at 355, which is coming up in 30 seconds, we'll get that flip up. So there's Apple with a, whoops, that's wrong name. Amazon, I'm guessing. Okay, so not much reaction. What you're looking for are stocks that, I have to type in NVIDIA because I don't see it anymore, that have made dramatic moves down. So I guess there is NVIDIA. So the sell is actually picking up. It's actually getting bigger on NVDA. So yeah, about that NVIDIA. Sell getting bigger into the close with only 7. So I would say now you'd think about going long, hoping that this does reverse. But I don't know, it wasn't that dramatic. Right there, and there's the long. Holy shit. Money. Happens again. Money. Man, I'm giving away the sauce too easily here. Yeah, so there it goes, man. I mean, boom. We were just talking about it. We could take it. Now we're starting to figure things out, man. We hit this trade yesterday. There goes NVIDIA right back up to the downside. That should have been a 50-cent winner, but there it goes, man. This is what we're talking about. Like, there's an example of real-time teaching and then getting pay dirt on that. We did it yesterday. It was the other way. We're just seeing now that it does look like it holds on that bid side as well. So, yeah, good trade there for sure. We'll look to see about making some more of that in the next couple of days. Let's get this out of NVIDIA, of AMD. And there it is, man. Big trade. AMD monster today. P&L. It's not even close. Big time number one trade there today for AMD. Actually the only green name. So good job there on AMD. Only green name of any significance there for me would be AMD.
Yeah, and great look there. I love that flip play on the imbalances. Never want to punch a short at 355, but you are willing to take a bit of a reversion for sure. I just double checked that massive imbalance on the delete probably was an opportunity. But it's a little bit too late, so I'm not going to take it. You have to get your order by 355. Yeah. So I'm not electing to take it off of the lows. But yeah, worth mentioning, DATS did just break more into the high. So this one's still going. I wouldn't advocate trading, or I wouldn't advocate buying into the tops, obviously. But this is really now, it's like a quadruple from yesterday. It's like a $2 stock to over $8. So a little bit surprising. You do know what can happen overnight. Almost every single gapper that looked like this, that looked even really good in the morning, the late day runners, like that penny stock XTAIA, that absolutely bled back in. The big runner yesterday, Fubo, kind of ran out of steam. We seem to be in an environment where these on day two, there's a lot of people are quicker to take the profits. It does seem like when you have this big of a move. So congratulations to anyone that's still in DATS. Probably should have held on to that. Marty, shout out to the super chat. Appreciate you. All we ever ask, hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that share. We appreciate all our viewers in super chat. You need to follow more on that imbalance thing. Well done. And you're not going to see the imbalance live anywhere else. I mean, lots of people probably have access to the imbalance locator. It's with the SIP feed. If you have direct market access, you probably have it in your platform. We just have it built in and like a, I guess you call it like a widget on our P Pro 8 system. So we just press a button, it opens up a nice curated feed for us, and we can show it to you guys live for the New York. And someone did mention yesterday that there is a source for the early look on the NASDAQ, but it's just a matter of having access to it. It apparently does exist. I've just never actually seen it. New York, we get early, or at least an early.
I mean, I never want to say that people are lying, but show it to us then. That's all.
I've always
told you that?
I've always believed. I didn't catch the name in the chat. I've always believed that there probably is something out there. Because why wouldn't there be? Clearly,
because I don't think it's a function of how it exists, though. That's what I'm saying. No, I don't know if it exists.
It exists internally, for sure, because it has to be. It has to exist internally because they have the data, right? So the data is there. It's just a matter is there anybody that has access?
Was it someone on the chat that mentioned it? Okay, so if you did mention that on the chat, please stand up. I mean, because we want to know what's going on there. I mean, you guys, if you're rocking for imbalanced data, I mean, I've taken some of the biggest trades here on the show have been in balanced trades. We took Palantir. We got $3 or $4 on that imbalance. We got New Holdings as well that was a monster. That was like $14, and that one went up like 50 cents or something on those imbalances. And then yesterday you saw me do it. We've done it numerous times. So thank you, Marty, for those super chats. And yeah, we do appreciate that. And that's what trading is all about, right? Is developing its plan of action and really just going for it at the end of the day. And then just hoping that you can count your chickens. And when you look at them, you say, oh, we're up or we're down. And hopefully doing better today. Better tomorrow than you did today, and just finding the same opportunities sometimes don't exist. So you got to get a little creative. Just quickly here, GameStop, we only have now 30 seconds to go. GameStop does fade off that top, again, 34 and change. We did tweet out our AMD trade. We got to go back over to the desk, but for right now, man, pretty good day. All in all, but red on the day because of NVIDIA. But it is what it is. Only now 20 seconds to go.
Yeah, only 20 seconds to go on this Tuesday. And I just saw in the chat pointed out as well, hey, tomorrow we get Fed minutes, I believe. We get Fed minutes. So, again, that doesn't always move the markets, but it should shed a little bit of light, potentially, on what the rate environment's going to be. But Adara, let's ring it in 2 and 1. Brought to you, the bell, brought to you by Hive on the NASDAQ. Shout out to Hive and appreciate them. Hive Digital, not the best day for crypto, but certainly in a fantastic interview, of course, with Brendan at the desk. So shout out to Hive Digital. Appreciate them so much for being a sponsor of today's show. The NASDAQ, Look, it wasn't a good day, 1.8 to the downside, but that just meant there were opportunities, especially in the afternoon for some shorts. The ES actually holding up at 1%, just above 1%. DATS did just break $9 right at the close and starting to pull back in. It's still doing decent volume. Liquidity is much lower, but it's still doing a little bit of volume going into the aftermarket here. It was your big runner. The other one that was going, of course, we talked about GameStop. Every single time in the afternoon, this stock has rallied, it has ended up a bit of a fade. I just felt that was going to be a better opportunity. It ended up being a better opportunity. I thought it was a $1 trade. It ended up being a $2 trade there on DATS. The other thing happening, I know we're going to go, just give Sean a couple of seconds to get ready. Tesla with a bit of a bounce. Tesla ends up holding 390 at the end of the day, down 4%, but catching a bid here that it's maintaining in the after hours. Oh no, I just heard in my ear. This is the risk, man. XTIA with an offering. So that's unfortunately, I mean, I don't know if anyone was buying the dip on this thing. Well, if you bought the dip on it, you're in a world of hurt as it does not hold on to that 10 cents. I haven't seen the size of the offer. Here it is. XTI Aerospace. Come on, what's the size here? Offering price is 5.5 cents. 363,636,364 share offering. I should, now down 11% here on XTIA. And this is one of these things that you've got to consider. Never forget, if you are swing trading penny stocks, small caps, low float, all that kind of good stuff, there are companies out there that have already filed so they can drop an offering whenever the heck they want. They don't have to file and wait for a couple of weeks for the paperwork to go through. It turns out XTIA must have been one of them. And they had one, maybe check that, call it possibly 2 up days. They drop an offering and you're almost back to square one, unfortunately. So always be careful out there. No one ever went broke taking profit. Let some ride if you want to try to get that home run. But this is kind of an example of the worst that can happen. $2 billion in volume. Probably going to be another tradable name here tomorrow. Big shout out to Fabian and Ramin on the 1s and 2s as always. Big shout out to Obi filling in for Sharif. I think Sharif is back tomorrow, but he had a couple of days off, day and a half off there. So shout out to Obi. Shout out to, of course, his Bash brother, compadre, Joey Options as well. Fantastic job as always on that midday. And you know where we're going, everybody. Are we locked and loaded, ready to go? Give me that thumbs up because we have the market recap. We've got Sean and Adara. Right about now.
Hi guys, we're gonna have Brian Shannon on today, so that'll be really exciting. Welcome back to, I'm gonna move this chair, the market recap. We're getting everything started out there. One of the computers is having a fun little time, but everything, it's gonna be a great day here. Lots to watch out for. I have DJT up on my screen, so we can just talk about DJT here. This stock was interesting. This push down here with volume actually to do with Trudeau saying there wasn't a snowball's chance in hell of Canada joining America. So interesting note there. This stock is, as always, a pretty fascinating one. But in terms of, we had this on watch as well with Trump making some comments here out of his Mar-a-Lago home. But we also had Nvidia. What a day. This was poised to have a great morning. We gapped up. We did have as well positive catalyst with that awesome keynote from Jensen Huang at CES. And the market didn't care. This is basically sell the news event for these. A lot of the semiconductor names. The one that held up the best by far, actually Micron, MU. Obviously pretty removed from day's highs, but still up about 2%. That 1025 area was a pretty interesting one for sure in MU, probably level to watch for tomorrow. Tesla, also though on watch here, this one tried to get back a bid. That $400 level becoming some clear. This didn't even really serve much of support before he broke down, but definitely some resistance and certainly an area to watch out for tomorrow for TSLA. Tesla got a downgrade from BofA Securities. Apple also got a downgrade this morning from MoffettNathanson, but it didn't really seem to care that much. We had, of course, like this 245 rejection, but other than that, it's down only 1% on the day compared to the wreckage we saw in Tesla and Nvidia. Not too bad of a look at all here. So I hope everyone's having a great day. I hope we're excited to see Brian Shannon. That'll be a pretty exciting time. And talk some stocks here with Sean and myself. It is yet again a light earnings day, that there's going to be a little bit more earnings coming up. But how are you doing today, Sean?
Good, I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, thanks for that. I'm trying to I was actually trying to log into Twitter over here, and it keeps giving me bounce backs there saying like this and that's not valid. But okay, welcome everybody. Yeah, we do have Brian Chin, and we're going to talk about some anchored VWAPs. I know that he was talking earlier about some of those VWAPs from the election. Obviously, those have been broken. I want to talk about some sector weaknesses as well, because not everything is all rosy. Today, we actually started the day with the NASDAQ hovering, and then we ended the day with the NASDAQ tanking. So it was a little bit of a downside play all day today, including that cash out that we did on AMD near the end of the day. And just looking around at some of the sectors that were performing today, I mean, if we're just going to sort of, let's just zoom this chart back this way and have a quick little look. Upside sectors today, it looks like we got TAN going on, of course. That's going to be the solar ETF. Nice bounce back on that play today. I don't know. XLE, so some energy plays. I mean, XLE 1%, XLV, that's kind of strange there with the healthcare finally getting a little bit of a bump back up there, as well as gold. So really just 4 sectors today on the upside. So if you're going to talk about sector strength or weakness, today we definitely favor the weak side of the trade. I mean, NASDAQ, there it is, XLK, which of course is Qs, that's down 2% today. So that gets hurt. And what does it get hurt by? It gets hurt by NVDA. So as we take a look here quickly at Nvidia and look to see what's going on with it, there's the play. I'm going to actually zoom this back out so we can have a better look on Nvidia. How about that? There it is, man, the death candle on the daily coming into play there. We thought it was all rosy. Unfortunately, I'm not logged into the software yet for my trades, but we tried to battle this thing all day, all morning really, until eventually we gave up. I mean, look at this move down. Starts today at all-time highs. We broke through that 152.85, which was exactly that. It takes it out in the pre-market, and then it's just like, you know, nothing changed. The stock just opened up. People said, that's a nice story. Sell it to the downside. There goes Nvidia. When's the last time, Adair, we saw this name down 6%? We could probably ask ChatGPT, but at the end of the day, there it is, a pullback. We already said that a little bit of a pullback in Nvidia. Has it happened before? Yes, it has. This did not get into bear territory. Generally, you need about a 20% pullback for that, but it did come pretty close. The last time, if we sort of zoom in, go the other way, charts, there we go. 153, so you have that. You did have it pull back into 130, 128 and change. So we did wind up losing about $20 or so there, $25 to the downside there off of 150. So we already got that pullback of 7 or 8%. Where do we dip by it? It's at the 50 period right now, 140. We're going to keep NVIDIA on watch tomorrow. It started the day, Adara, where we were looking at, this must be, I don't ever, Neil probably put these on here, which is completely fine. AMD is in that downside channel right now. I maybe should have kept those up. I just want to have a little bit of a cleaner look as there it is. We watch out for that bounce in and around 120. At some point though, you want to play the right trends. And, you know, a play for 2025 is still going to be chip space. We talked about quantum, uranium, some of those plays still coming through. I still think that, hey, chips, a good spot to be in right now. And AMD, not the right name. Micron DRAM, another aspect of the system. They came up today with a nice trade, man. Up 3% on the day is Micron. But let's have a quick look here on the 3-minute chart. Look what it gave you. It gave you a dip by opportunity. I'm actually looking for strong stocks that close near the bottom. Why are we looking for that? Because for tomorrow, today's trade Adair is over with. Yeah. But we're looking for opportunities for tomorrow. I think Micron, honestly, coming back in, there's going to be an opportunity for this. A strong stock up 3% today with a nice bounce off of that $100 level. We'll see if it can hold there tomorrow. Anything down into 100, I think, is a buy. We could get it. It's only 2% lower, right? It's at 102 right now for Micron. What were you trading today?
Yeah, Micron actually, that short at 104, I think 10s. I really like that rejection. It was a rejected VWAP. Basically, I risked into the high of the 15-minute candle in which I entered. So that was, it's about 50 cents there. I don't even think it got that high. Basically rejected right away. Took some profit there at 103.11s. That was a level of support and resistance like chip chop on the chart. And then I took another piece out around that 102.70s. I contend that 102.65, which shout out to, I believe, Sean James in the chat mentioning that as well. 102.65, that is massive support resistance on Micron. So that's the level I'll be watching for tomorrow. But regardless, I got out some ahead of that. I had 75% left, and I got stops out of that when we broke the prior bar high on the 15 that I was using, which would have been 103.29. So took profit in all parts of the position. And I must also say, I love trading spread, but Sean, I got to say, sometimes it's nice when you get stopped out of a position and there isn't crazy slippage. Like, it was so nice. I got my stop. I had my stop at 103.29, and it triggered at 103.29. It's amazing. It's beautiful. I don't get that a lot. So shout out to Micron. But yeah, I traded that. Had a little bit of Boeing, which it was fine. It was whatever. It was boring. And putting swapping the O for the R or the E for the R. Boeing, boring. Anyways. And then app as well, APPL, like that 3:30 run up. I'm watching app 11 for tomorrow for sure. Okay,
good one. Yeah, have them on watch. We actually, talking about a little bit of a spreadier name today, we actually had Meta on the pullback. So Meta today, we were long, but we'll talk about that in a minute. But I was going to say Meta, one of those names that, again, what a move up on the daily chart, continues to work out well. I don't think the year of advertising is over. I think obviously the year just started. But what I'm talking about here is the fact that a lot of traders worried that Meta, Google, some of the way that ads are searched, some of that pay could be a little different, affected moving forward, especially with some of these LLMs and everybody using a little bit of a different model now. But you know what? There's still that death scroll that happens on Instagram. And, you know, that just doesn't stop. I mean, I see it in my house all the time. It's like you just start watching the reels. It's like boom, boom, boom. They're watching it on YouTube. But Meta, same way there with the reels. And Meta's at highs. So I feel like this is another great opportunity right now that if you are nervous, and we're going to talk to Brian about this, but I just think that to trim something off in and around these areas, I don't think you're going to regret doing that. Obviously, if you're holding out different time frames, could come into play, but at the same time, that just gives me a little bit of a scare because we were 584 all the way up to 640 in 2 days. Like, you really got going, man. And to gain 10 to 15% on such huge market cap names, that's not normal. If the buys come off of this market, the market is going to tank. So I just a little nervous, little cautionary tale there with Meta. How did we trade Meta today? It's funny because you were talking about slippage. We didn't get much either on this break there of 619. But Meta gives me worries because some of these fills that I'm getting, the spread is like 30, 40, 50 cents.
That's why I like it.
So I know. So you got to sit on the offer. Make sure you do catch those. And very specific with my outs. So make sure you do have that because look at this out right there at 620. We get out there on 619 breaking through VWAP actually, Adara.
Yeah.
And who's the Mr. VWAP? Coming on very soon. Once that broke, it went down, Adara, another $5 all the way back into 614.
Yeah.
So very dangerous play there if you hold on. Get rid of your losers ASAP. But you talked about AAPL was a great trade in AMD, or Micron, sorry, for you today. I really only had one winner. And it looks crazy the way this looks on the chart because we have all of these outs. But here's AMD, boom to the downside. Where do we have it? 50-period moving average. Once we got roasted on Nvidia, we just went right over to AMD, shorted it there again, shorted it at 130. Rest is history. Nice move to the downside. So a couple good trades.
Great. Yeah, that's a great
there.
one.
Yeah, thank you.
Planting the purple flowers at the top.
Oh, by the way, not that our guys don't have any more work to do. This still says 475. Oh. We have 490.
Also, is that an AI, Sean? Because I saw your little avatar man.
You know what it's from?
What is it from?
Hold on a second.
Is it filtered?
No. A couple days ago, it's here, I'll show you. A couple days ago, I went to Starbucks and I tweeted out a picture of myself. This is going to take a long time. This is like that death scroll. There it is.
Oh, there it is.
So this is this.
Yeah, I remember this photo. Yes.
Yeah, so it's the
You were like on a Starbucks run at lunch.
And I was like, I didn't mind it. And I wanted to get rid of this is not trying to be an advertisement for Starbucks.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I was like, I just wanted to do that, but good luck on that one. Yeah, I changed it up. You like that?
I like it.
A little different.
It's different. Yeah, for a second I was like, who's that in my feed? And I was like, oh yeah, Sean.
Yeah. Oh my God, we're trying to get 50,000 followers as well. Hit that up right there. Okay, so this was something exciting, and I don't know, maybe I'll ask you the same question. We actually didn't get to it with Neil and I. We started talking about it, and then where's Ramin? Ramin just started basically firing off all of these IPOs and which ones she was interested in. Is it possible to zoom in, or this looks fine? Maybe, Fabian. Maybe it's fine. But here we go. We've got SpaceX, and thank you, Adara. This is from Carbon Finance. SpaceX, 350 valuation right now. I think it comes to market way higher than that. That's like in the funding round. So when they roadshow this thing, who knows what they're going to get that out at. Stripe, I think these have all filed. They're talking about speculation. I'm not sure which ones have filed or which ones haven't filed.
China's more sketchier because even, like, I know today, even there was some press conference out of China they basically said we do not have a date for the Shein IPO. So Shein, who knows? But I think the other ones are a lot more likely to occur.
So which one you like on this list? I mean, for me, I like Discord because I said that the move up in Reddit has been so epic, and not that Discord and Reddit are similar, but I just like the technology. I like the name, AnySpace. And Microsoft. Actually, Microsoft had a $10 billion bid, I'm pretty sure, for Discord. So right now, with them coming out at 15 billion, that's going to be better. But I like Discord. We found out that Liquid Death. Maybe you've heard of that before.
I have not.
Okay, Ramin
knew it right away, so we got to give her all the show notes.
Yeah, and she said that it was an energy drink, so very similar to a Celsius.
I'm down.
I don't know if it's similar to a Celsius or not. Liquid Death. You heard of that, Fabian? Nope. Okay. So which one would you favor then, Adara?
Okay, I want to say one thing that I think is clear. So Stripe and Klarna both interest me on their face. However, they're kind of in similar fields, are they not? So I think that Stripe and Klarna, that could be interesting to see if either of them tries to like yap up market share from the other.
Payment.
That I want to keep an eye on in the payment space. However, in terms of which one I like the best, Discord. I was even talking about.
Really?
Yeah, I was talking to my friend about this because he and I we write and we exclusively basically communicate over Discord because you can send like files there for writing if we both really like it.
Chat.
Right? And he actually he knows nothing about the market and he was even like, no, that's like a good look, right? So so that Discord, I have no idea what the ticker would be because DIS is taken, maybe DISC, maybe Cord.
Well, it probably would come on. Cord would be good.
Yeah, or DCRD, who I don't know why I'm making up tickers.
Say, it's probably Discord, so DSC. It has to be a D something.
I think DIC.
I think that's
but it was like
Discord does.
Right? Discord.
DSCD?
Yeah, so right, DSCD, that's one of the ones I said. It was like funny, I was at the Chick-fil-A with the guys a couple weeks ago from here, and we were saying like, what would the Chick-fil-A ticker be? I can't eat spice. But I did get the Chick-fil-A sauce, and I had like the little nuggets. It was really good. I'd never been before. But I bring this up because we were saying, what would the ticker be if we publicly traded it? Because I was like, oh, long Chick-fil-A. And CHIC.
That's pretty easy.
Right? It'd be good.
Don't tell me that the Chick-fil-A sauce was spicy.
No, it wasn't. I really liked it. I loved the Chick-fil-A sauce.
Okay, yeah. Because that's just like a mayonnaise-based, I think.
But it like kind of tastes like a mayo a little bit. It tastes a little bit like honey mustard.
Right,
it tastes like everything
good one.
and nothing, and I love it.
Is it kind of like 1,000 Islands a little bit?
A little. That's what I like it, because it literally, what does it not taste like, Sean? That's why it works.
Is it a problem that we don't really know what it tastes like? I mean, that could be also a problem.
I think that's maybe part of what makes it work.
Yeah, probably.
Who knows?
Okay, we don't want to wait for too much longer. He's been waiting in the wings. It's been a while. We're going to welcome him back for the first time in 2025. All right, it's Trader Talk. Let's go. Let's bring on Mr. Brian Shannon. Are we ready? If we're not ready, we can wait. I may have jumped the gun right there. So Fabian, no, go ahead. Call it up. I just saw him waiting. That was my bad. All right, so we'll get Brian Shannon. All right, let's try that one more time. Mr. Brian Shannon, hey man, if it doesn't work the first time, we'll always get it a second time. Happy belated New Year's to you and yours. I hope it was a good one.
It was, Sean. Happy New Year to you and everyone there at Trader TV.
Why, thank you. We wait for the Brian Shannon visit to the Great White North. And hopefully this year, if possible, we'd love to have you come through the studio, check it out, do a couple of shows live. Brian Shannon, great. Thank you so much for coming back on. Would that be something that would interest you? A little flight up to Toronto?
I enjoy that. I haven't been up to Canada in a while, so it'd be good. Yeah, sounds like a good late spring, maybe summer type of activity.
Well, good. We'll get our connection over there at American Airlines and see if we can get a ticket with Mr. Brian Shannon's name on it. How exciting would that be? Okay. Wow, what a wild day. I mean, finally, it looks like we're getting a little bit of a pullback. I actually called up, Brian, the triple Qs, not the quad Qs, as I just typed that up, the triple Qs today, and I'm looking at this NASDAQ, and if we come over to my chart, it's been a minute, man. We haven't broke this 50-period moving average, Brian, since September, mid-September, in and around that 470 mark. We've just been going upside, but now we did get a little bit of a scare, and this is what makes me the most nervous. That little move down, we broke it into 505 when everyone was really nervous. Apple to the downside, many names to the downside, but thank God something saved us on Friday as we had a nice move back up, but then it was like, nope, no celebration for you as you come into the 50 period again. What are you thinking here about these markets? To me, they look top heavy.
Yeah, they certainly feel top heavy as well, Sean. I'm seeing a lot of the momentum names starting to roll over a little bit. Palantir is under some pressure. Apple, as you mentioned, a longer term look of Microsoft maybe looking like it's topping out. And as you said on the NASDAQ, since mid-December, here on the daily chart on the left, we've got this very clear pattern of lower highs and lower lows. We are, however, with a rising 50-day moving average, and we had undercut it last week briefly and touched that anchor from the October low. If we continue lower in this, and I was looking at this today thinking we're due for a pullback into here, and I really wanted to see it hold a year-to-date anchor. That's that green one, along with the 5-day moving average, the orange line. Instead, it's looking like if we get a rally up tomorrow and get trapped under that, I think we're going to potentially see, something like this down towards that round number of 500, which is the anchor off of last September's low. So there's a lot of reason for caution here. A lot of people jumped into the market quick, thinking, "Hey, it's 2025. It's easy money to make again," and then the rug just got pulled from them. But the pattern is there: lower highs and lows for now. So we just got to remain a little cautious until we get some of these earnings to kind of lead the way for us, I think.
Thanks for talking about that with some of those anchored view ops. I mean, I just feel the reason why I'm feeling pretty nervous is today alone was a $10 move in the Qs, right? Top to bottom, 525 down there to 515. Got a little bit even lower than that. If that 505, 500 level comes into play, could be tomorrow, another 2% down day, and we will see those levels there on the Qs. Is it a chance for a temporary bounce? Would that be something that you'd be looking for at those levels in and around this 500? Or is that something where you just let it settle down, give it a day or two? Or are we just playing off of an even level 500? Is that something you generally do, or you're just looking at lines?
Sean, it's not something I typically do, but I've kind of, like everyone else, kind of looked at what they did last year and what they could do better this year. And I think that when it comes down to the first major level in the NAS, in the ETF or in, Tesla, we just saw a beautiful bounce off of the anchor from the election at 375-ish. So it's something that I'm starting to toy with a little bit more. I'm still not comfortable buying a dip into a key level, but maybe, play with some options that go out a week or so. I think that, to maybe if we got down to 500 and started to stabilize just a little bit, I might buy some 505s or 510s for the next week and see if we can get a nice little bounce in that regard.
Man, you just nailed that talk right there on Tesla. I mean, what a great little level. I mean, people are always asking us for levels. This is the Anchored View Op. I want to make sure everybody picks up this book, Maximum Trading Gains with Anchored View Op. If you're understanding anything about technical analysis, this is a great book just to start with and then go backwards, because Anchored View Op, a very, very important tool. And I can see it right here. There's the election bump. I actually put it to the day before the election. Should have done it up here. And there's the bounce right there, 368, 370. Probably a little higher if I'd done it properly, 374. So a good look there on Tesla. Do you remember a while ago we talked about Rivian? Rivian's been a name that's bounced so smoothly there, Brian, off of $10. I wonder if we could do a little bit of talk here on the fly, and then we'll get to any names that maybe you want to talk about. RIVN. Good move. They've had some cash influx there. Last time we talked, I think it was in and around the day that they got that bump from Volkswagen, a couple $2 billion. I'm seeing more and more of these trucks on the road. They're coming out with a little bit of a lesser model there, lower chassis there to get through. Right now, their cars are about 120 grand or so on the high side, looking for a little bit of a lesser model. I like Rivian here. Technically, are you seeing anything? For me, I look at the chart and say, hey, just simple minds, the 200 period moving average, I like that back down there to 12, but I feel like we missed an opportunity trying to load up down here near $10. For anybody trying to maybe play any pullbacks in Rivian, are you seeing anything that's catching your eye?
There are some things here, Sean, and I think that not only was there the Volkswagen news, but I think that Biden might have given them a big loan of a couple billion dollars or something like that. When I look at this weekly chart, we are above the 10, 20, 30, 40 week moving average. And if you look at it, a true head and shoulders pattern doesn't have to be straight across. This is also considered an inverted head and shoulders pattern with a slanted neckline. So it came right up to that trend line that defines this. Now we're getting the pullback. So if we can build from here, let's switch to the daily time frame. If we can build from here a little bit and kind of just start to settle down and then turn sideways maybe for a couple days, I think that then you could see the buyers would return and maybe we catch this 20-day moving average. So it's looking like now's not, we don't want to buy it yet because it's pulling back, but it certainly has the look of something that could be loading up for this higher low and then to emerge out of that inverted head and shoulders pattern. And if you're sorry for switching around so much. If you're a longer term investor, you look at it and you say, what is the projected height, the height of the pattern from 10 up to the neckline at 20, let's just call it 20, and then from the point down is 17, you would take the height of the pattern, add it to the point of the breakout, not breakdown, at 17, and that would give you an upward target of about $27 per share. If it were to go fulfill that, that would bring it up to these highs over here. So there's a lot to be looking at, and to be looking at excitedly, I guess. Let's let it prove itself in here, but it certainly has that good potential because as we know on that weekly time frame, if they didn't scare you out, Sean, they probably wore you out in here. And now it's looking like it's poised for the turn.
Thank you so much for being here with us, Brian. As always, Happy New Year. We have a lot of semiconductors and AI-related names on watch with CES this week. Of course, Nvidia, Micron made some moves. Are there any of these names that you think look good here? Or are there any actually that you think you would avoid going long at this level, given that we have so many in play this week?
Yeah, the semis are a little tricky here. I'm kind of avoiding them. If you look at this, let's actually look at it on a daily chart. We came right up to the top end of this range. We broke it briefly. And now kind of similar, I guess, to Rivian, as you could look at this as maybe this is a shoulder. This could be a head. And now if we can see that this blue 20-day moving average starts to creep higher in here, and then they get lost in there. But the 20 and the 50-day start moving higher like this, we could create a right shoulder and then come up maybe in a week or 2 weeks, and then the height of this would be, the neckline, it's called 265 down to 235. That would imply a move up towards 295 if this does, in fact, form a higher low and a right shoulder on this, daily time frame.
Brian, one stock that you, and I'm going to throw it to you for any ideas. I'm going to ask you one more time because you actually brought NewScale to our, family basically of traders a while ago, and man, oh man, that was a great call down there, sub $10, especially when you had that whole scare you out, wear you out theory. I think worked perfectly right here with NewScale. This is a weekly chart. You had taught us again that sort of scale from the anchored VWAP from its recent IPO, which is just back in 22, so it's 2.5, 3 years old right there. And you had played off of that, which is right into their 780, 790 banger of a trade right there. But I just dropped a new anchor right here at that most recent low of $7. And that brings me, Brian, right to $20 with the new anchored VWAP on the weekly chart. And that was a level that we held. Can you sort of give me a reason to buy SMR or maybe to sell it? I'm long in and around low teens. It's been a great trade. But at the end of the day, it still had a $30 high and a pullback into 20. But we held that anchor. What generally does that mean when you get so extended, come back into that most recent anchor and hold it? Are we bullish on SMR?
We're getting more bullish for sure, Son. If you look at OKLO, that's the one that really has led the way recently. But SMR yesterday, we have to look at it from where has it come from. It just rallied in the last week from 17 to 24. So that's 7 points on a $17 stock. What's that, 30% or more, right? So it rallied 30% right into the anchor off of this low and that orange anchor from the election. So I think it got a little bit ahead of itself. It did get above the anchor from this peak right here. So now if we can kind of just, same thing, settle down a little bit, and then, maybe get back above the anchor off of this recent high, then that would confirm that the buyers are back in control. But I think it needs just a little bit more time to digest this 30% move of the last couple of days. So a little bit further, backing and filling seems reasonable. And then to start to monitor for more strength, maybe it pulls back to the 5-day moving average, stabilizes, and then it could get going. But it's starting to look, like it's ready to be tradable to the upside again.
Brian, I always wish we had so much more time. Like, I'm looking over. It's already 4:30. Where does time go? Over 3,000 of us watching right now, so I do not want to miss the opportunity to promote. And you never ask about this, so there's no doubt about that. Very humble guy. Maximum trading gains with the anchored VWAP. Brian Shannon, go find it at Alpha Trends. Also on Amazon, correct? I believe still?
Yes.
Okay, so go pick that up. Now, without any further ado, though, they can go follow you on Alpha Trends. You have a subscription-based model, very small monthly fee for what you get. Anything planned in the next little while? Any sort of calls or anything you're doing?
It's daily updates. I mean, we were talking about Tesla and how it had the ability to run up to the anchor from the high, and it nailed it, Sean, yesterday. I don't know if you saw it. I mean, just straight from the anchor from the election to the anchor from the high. It was just beautiful the way it did that. Yeah. So, it's those types of updates every single day. It's $10 a month. So it's really a great deal. And I try to provide a ton of education and make sure every stock I'm talking about, I'm explaining exactly why, not just, hey, it looks good here or, things like that.
I mean, that's what we're all about on the show as well. I mean, I was just saying to Adara, it's great to not only look at these lines, but to understand what they mean and how to trade off of them. Because not every time is an anchored VWAP going to be, the godsend. Like, it's number one trade. It has to hit off there. It has to bounce. You look at it for support and resistance. You look at it for points of interest. And then you trade around it and make better educated decisions when certain things like that start to come through. So thank you so much, and everybody can go and find you, obviously, there. All your information is there. It's Brian Shannon. Can't wait to have you up here. I'm going to work on that for sure. It's anchored VWAP with maximum trading gains. Make sure you go grab that. Brian, thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you, Sean, and well said on that last part.
Thank you. Brian Shannon, take care, my friend. That's Trader Talk.
Hi, everybody.
I was going to say something, but we don't have a teleprompter, right? We
do not.
Never had one. I screw this up. Sometimes when we're doing some of those videos, it's like there's scripts that they want me to read, and I'm just like, see ya. And we ad lib it, which sometimes creates problems because then we got to redo it because I just keep screwing it up. And it's like, you forgot to say this, you forgot to say that. But when we're talking with our guests on here, it just comes really, this is going to sound a little, whatever, but it does come from the heart. We've seen so many different traders in our life, right? And there's nothing like getting honest ones that have put in the work, especially you don't just put out books like this and sell all the copies that you do if it's just blowing smoke. So I want to really thank Brian Shannon for coming through again. And when we talk about these guests, Michael Noss is another one. I mean, basically everybody that we've had on this show have been really great friends of the program and keep coming with information week after week. So go make sure you do support them and make sure you support Trader TV Live.
Yes.
I mean, we are live every single day. You know the crazy part about it? We're even live when the market's not open.
We're going to be here on Thursday, guys.
Here I am thinking I got this nice vacation. We got a nice little day off. We're coming back for you live on Thursday. Yeah, a little bit of a fail there. We're going to talk about plays for the year. We're going to talk about some hot sectors, what we like, what we don't like. Any little bit of let's give a little teaser before we go. 3 minutes in, we're a little over. What do you want to talk about on Thursday?
Okay, I will give two teasers. One, I talked to Brendan. There's going to be a little bit musical chairs, so I do not know what desk I'll be sitting in, but I think I have an idea, so that might be a fun surprise. Guess what desk Adara is sitting in? Go to Cal Sheet. No, I'm joking. It does not. But I am serious about the desk thing. My second thing.
My guess is right here.
I actually don't think so. But my second thing, with regards
to back over there?
I think so. It may be. But with regards to Thursday, the other thing that I think is key is I've been making a lot of graphics for Trader TV Research, TTV Research.
Yes.
I have a couple in the works, one Bitcoin related a lot, just kind of related to the S&P 500 as a whole. But those, I'm planning on them making their debut on the show and on Twitter on Thursday. So definitely check that out. In terms of the stocks, I have some ideas as well, what I want to talk about. So good time.
What's up, Rivian Millionaire? Sean being Canadian, apologizing for being nice. Yeah, no, look, I mean, American or U.S., I really feel, no matter what your nationality is, I feel like kindness should always exist. So shout out to all my kind American friends, including you, Rivian Millionaire, if he is American or she.
I like the Muppets.
Maybe that's me and you right there. All right, hey, look. You're rocking with the best. It's Trader TV Live. You've got me and Adara. We're live right now, but we're about to be off the air. We're going overtime for you. Join us tomorrow at 8:30, where Sharif will be back.
Yes.
So that's...
Welcome back. Merry Christmas.
Oh my God, we forgot something. What have I almost done again? I'm just trying to get out of here. And then the thing that we've sort of coined, roll call, we forgot about it. So let's do it real quick. What's up, Christopher Leroy? He's here as well. Hey, Celery too. You'll be in Vegas. What hotel? I haven't been to Vegas in a minute. The last time I was at Vegas, I stayed at Wynn. Wynn is gorgeous.
My friend just went and stayed at MGM.
Oh, that's a good one.
Like
I haven't, Bellagio was one. I like that's right in the middle. I haven't stayed there yet. Venetian was really good. When I was there about 10 years ago, too much perfume. You know, they piped this into the air. No, seriously, Venetian, it was very, anyways. They also have the fake gondola rides. It's actual water. There's actual gondolas there. Why do you look so...
I just didn't know this was a thing.
Yeah, you got to go to Vegas, man. Great time there.
to go.
What's up, Andrew Chow? What's up, Arch, GJ Computers? If anybody has any hookups in Vegas, man, hit me up at Trader TV Show. I want to go. So you let me know I'm there at your hotel. And then we'll grab some dinner. Let's get some dinner. All right. What's up, Matt C? I'll bring my wife. What's up, Matt C? What's up, NYC Urbanista? Anybody catching your eye here?
Yeah, I mean, we have Crypto FOMO, we have Bears versus Bulls, which we always have to thank every single day. Tyrone Hamilton, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Dewey, Celery too, Nightbot, I will shout out, even though it is a bot, I'm aware. And we'll stop here with Money Bag Cat and Jay Haas.
Yeah, Moneybag Cat saying he loves us too. Well, thank you so much. We love all of the viewers and all of the traders as well. So we've even got our friendship bracelets on there. We didn't have TPVL friendship bracelets. You can make them for your love for Taylor Swift. All right, for Adara, I am Sean. Thank you so much to Mr. Brian Shannon. Thank you to Hive as well for coming through on the midday show in and around 2 o'clock. It's a potato.
And then it is a French fry.
And then it's French fries. See you, everybody. See you tomorrow, 8:30. Ciao.
See you guys.